Welcome, everyone. Today is going to be a very special episode of Head in the Clouds. We are here with one of my amazing students. In fact, an exceptional, fine young man who's got his first cloud architect job. And tonight we're going to talk about how Daniel Bossou, an exceptional, fine, incredibly talented, smart, fine young man with exceptionally good work ethic, how he got his first cloud architect job. And we always hear these terms thrown around: cloud architect, no experience. You guys know I don't believe in that. And all of you can get a cloud architect job if you want to. And Daniel's going to show you how at 21 years old, without any kind of obvious career experience, he was hired by one of the world's biggest and greatest banks as a solution architect job. Now, he obviously took our cloud architect course, but there's other ways to do it. And if you attend our free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar, which my team will post the link to in the chat box, I'll tell you how to do it with us or with others, because all we care about is that you get cloud hired. And that's why we do these things. And he'll talk about how to get your first cloud architect job. We'll talk about, maybe the impact of cloud architect interview training. We may talk about the importance of cloud architect career training, and maybe what a cloud architect resume looks like and why a cloud architect resume is different than a cloud engineer's resume. And we'll probably talk about the difference between why the cloud architect and the cloud engineer are so different, because it's critical for everybody to know that, because that's the key to getting your first cloud architect job. You have to have cloud architect job skills. So when people ask how to become a cloud architect or what does a cloud architect do, if you truly know that and you truly understand that, that's when you're getting hired. So for example, a football player trains to be a football player. They don't train like a marathon runner, and they look different and they perform differently. And an airplane pilot has a different job than a race car driver, even though they're still moving vehicles. And it's all about getting the right cloud architect career training so you get that cloud architect job. And it comes to this, and it's the specificity of training. And whether you're training a pro athlete or whether you're training a cloud architect, it's all the same. So tonight, we're going to have a very special show. Obviously, you've got Elonzo Coleman, one from my team, and Chris Johnson, my chief operating officer. He's, there with me on everything. But we're going to be here tonight to really celebrate Daniel Bossou's success. You're going to hear from him. I'm going to interview him, and he's going to talk about things that helped him, things that he's learned, experiences along the way. And seriously, he's 21 years old. He just turned 21. So before we begin, before we do anything or talk about anything, let's give him a hashtag cloud hired. And while we're at it, congratulations, Daniel Bossou. He's an exceptional leader, and we are so proud of him. And when he told me he was cloud hired, he saw the tears in my eye because he did it on Zoom. And then he did it, and I'm still proud of him, and I'm still crying because I'm so excited for him. I know it happens every day for us. We get somebody hired, but 21 years old is extremely hard because there's no life experience to prove. And when Daniel was in our course and I said, "You're 21, I'm going to push you twice as hard," didn't I? And with that, we did. So, Chris, Elonzo, come talk for a minute or two, talk about things, and then we'll do the interview, and then we'll have a roundtable discussion.
I just love the fact that he's still doing interviews. You thought you were finished with him.
It never ends, Daniel.
It's true. It never ends, Daniel.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, and I will say, Daniel cannot touch his phone at all. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. We had to adapt and improvise before we got on here, so fingers crossed.
Definitely.
We've had some unique communication challenges for any of those that are familiar with unified communications, one-way audio, screen phrases. We've had it all tonight, so we're all on this unstable thing. So we're going to use it and have some fun.
So I don't have much to add to the conversation yet. Just want to let everyone know that we did just finish the first day of our Azure Bootcamp. So if you happen to have missed the first day of our Azure Bootcamp, you can find the link in the chat box. We'll share it here later on in the show, but I'm not going to share it yet because I want you to pay attention to this show.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we just finished day 1, so there's still a chance for you to get caught up with us and join us for day 2 tomorrow. And then also to let everybody know when Elonzo and I get through saying hello, and we're going to say goodbye, and we're going to leave you with Mike and Daniel. So just to give everybody some fair warning there. But I don't have much to say. I'm sure I'll have some questions when it comes my time for the interview.
Get ready, Daniel.
I'm ready.
Awesome. Well, Daniel, I wanted to say I am excited for you. I am thrilled. You got put through the paces, and you know you did, and you came out on top. And like I was saying before, you look great. Your presentation, both internally, externally, you are dressed to kill. You have the mind is sharp. You're ready to knock it out. You're ready to have a successful career, and I will be watching. And I got questions as well, so looking forward to it.
Thank you, Elonzo. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So before we leave you with Mike, do you have any last words, Daniel?
Uh-oh. Drum roll.
Throw me in the fire. Let's go.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
All right.
All right.
So we're going to have some fun here. You know, it's really hilarious. Daniel, do you remember how you found us? Because I can tell you how you did if you don't remember.
I do. So I was doing something that I truly loved, music. I was doing that. I really loved it. And I realized that I needed to do something more, that music was a hobby, and that I needed to do something that I could enjoy. And I found myself in technology, and I found myself in cybersecurity. I loved it, but I ended up going to this boot camp. I paid an exorbitant amount of money, probably around north of $35,000. And I learned a lot of things that opened up my world into technology. But afterwards, I was clueless. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have guidance on what I should do further in my career. It was just, here you go, be a cybersecurity professional, and that's it. So after researching a lot of different positions, I found this cloud architect position, and I look at the requirements and I just say, no way. I step back. I said, 4 years, college, I can't do that. It seems too hard. I just can't do it. I don't have the capability to. And I remember going on LinkedIn, and I'm just minding my business, where I network with this wonderful lady, Adriana. She knows, she finds what I'm doing. She tells me, hey, wake up, snap out of it. You can do it. I don't know why you're telling yourself you can't be an architect, but you can be an architect, and I know the perfect person to direct you to, and directed me towards Michael Gibbs. And first, when I encounter with Mike, I'm just like, what? This is not true. This is too good to be true. You're just sending me to somebody that knows everything about the cloud and whatnot. And Mike didn't say too much, actually. He introduced himself, and he told me to watch a YouTube live stream. I came and watched and asked my questions, and the way he was able to break down all my doubts and boil it to what I needed to do, I was intrigued. No one, even my own mentors, couldn't teach me like that. They just gave me the material, and you're on your own. So after going through that, watching his live stream, it became clear to me that, okay, I have to do this. There's no way that there's no other way that I can succeed without this guidance, because you need to find a mentor. You need to find someone that knows what they're doing in the field. And Mike, I told him my situation, because honestly, I didn't know what I was going to do. I already owed one company money. Now I'm coming to Mike. You know, I already feel ashamed that I just went through all of that. He helped me throughout all of that. He said, hey, we don't need to focus on the past. In fact, I've done things very similar to that. you grow and you learn. But he brought me and took me under his wing into this class, and I just kept thinking, nobody that isn't serious about what they're doing would just do that. You know, a lot of people just want money, and he didn't want that from me. He heard what I was going through, and he was heartbroken that I spent that much money. And he said, as long I have to do the work, it's going to be hard. I'm young, but he believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. And that's how at least this whole journey started.
You know, Daniel, it's interesting. I was thinking of that post, that social media post that you made, that Adriana over there in Jamaica. And Adriana is an exceptional network engineer, and she's becoming a great cloud engineer. And the only thing that I don't completely agree with Adriana is she prefers Damian Marley and I prefer Ziggy Marley. But other than that, she's just such a special, fine person. But I remember you had asked a question about the cloud, and I remember our first conversation. And I remember exactly how I felt at the time. And I remember exactly some things that I had done, which were very similar. And I knew in my heart that you had so much in you at the time that if you could just have a chance, you could do it. And I felt it and I heard it in your voice, because there's something in the eyes and mind of a champion. And yes, your success brings a little tears to my eyes, because it's not easy to get a 21-year-old successful, especially one that's a little scared about their future, petrified about their future, who may have been put through the ringer and mistreated by others. And I just remember, here's the thing. Someone that wants to be successful is, tell me how. What do I have to do? Just tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. That person's going to be successful. Sadly, I hear a lot of times of, what about this? And I'm like, if you do this, you'll be fine. Well, what about this? I can solve that. What about this? And when you solve one problem, they create 4 or 5. That person, I know, can't be. And I saw it and I sensed it in you. And I asked you, will you work hard? It wasn't a little bit of hesitancy. You didn't ask what I mean. You didn't ask me about quality of life or work-life balance. You just said, if you put the work in front of me, I'm going to do it. And I know we found a way to creatively get you here, and we did it. And I'm so thankful we did. And I'm so grateful. And I'm so grateful that you can share your story, because you didn't come into this world very wealthy, right?
Not I'm glad you mentioned that. So I will say that, you know, my parents they're nurses. They're all right. Definitely didn't come from wealthy family. In fact, fun fact about me, my parents are from Africa, West Africa. And my dad, the only reason I'm here is because he actually won a lottery in Africa, giving him a visa to come here, everything paid for. So I'm here already by chance. I didn't come here like everyone else, or people that were born here and had the means. I didn't have any means. At one point, I was even homeless, and I had some people to help me out. But that's where I was just a few years ago. So definitely didn't come from anywhere with money, let alone what I'm walking into now. So I just want everyone to know that anyone can do this. And especially everyone is going through something. And just because you're going through something doesn't mean that determines where you're going in the future. It matters how you handle that situation, how you take that situation in, and know that things are going to happen. I'm not going to be like this other person. I can't compare myself to this other person. They have their own life. But what I can do is remember where I came from and keep pushing and push and push, so that I can keep that story and tell other people. So now I don't have to feel like I am not like someone else. So I'll turn it over to you.
But now you have a position where your family will have generational wealth. I remember I called and spoke to your mother one day, and I just so liked her. I didn't know she was a nurse. You should have told her I was a nurse and a nurse practitioner too. There was just something in her voice that I felt was like sweet and warm. And I was just, your success, honestly, it just gets me, because, I love seeing it. You remind me of someone named Mitchell that I worked with for many, many years. I worked with him when he was in high school and while he was through college. He's now a giant in the cloud security space. But, here's the key. When I met him, he was the same thing. He was like, what can I do? What can I do? He had this fire inside of him. And like you and me, we had to work our way, to fight our way, to claw our way to get there. But we got there, and that's really there. And that's what I wanted people to see. You didn't have to come from money. You didn't go to Harvard. You didn't go to any pristine school. You had fight in your mind and will in your heart. And that's the secret to all of this. So now let's talk about how important it was to learn how to be an architect versus an engineer.
So the way I come into the program, when I first come into the program, I'm excited. I'm ready to go, and I'm listening to these lectures that Mike's giving, and I'm just blown aback by how he can explain object storage, file storage, or whatnot. But then I am thinking, wait a second, this is too much. I honestly can't. This is a fire hose of information. I can't. He's talking about don't be like an engineer. I wasn't understanding it. So what I did was I went ahead and dove into the certifications. I dove into the certifications and instantly realized how different they were teaching me. Mike's teaching me what the technology is, just taking off all the names, and these certifications, AWS, they're just teaching me, okay, if you want to do this, then you got to look at this metric, and then you got to go configure this and configure that. And I'm going through it. Me personally, this is when I've found out this is what an engineer's world's like, and I can't. This isn't for me. So I'm going through it. I'm because I have to get the certifications, obviously, because I have very little experience. So I'm going through it, and my mind is just going and going and going. This is what I'm learning. I have to take, and I took a whole break from the program. So I'm not listening to anything Mike's saying for 2 months, 2 to 3 months. I'm just listening to all the certification, quote me, garbage. And the reason I'm saying this is as I'm learning it, yes, I learned what things are, but never, ever, not once did they teach me how to design it. They didn't teach me why I'm going to do this over this. They even at some point will turn you into an accountant. You're more worried about the cost than worried about what the solution is for the business and how to solve it. So I quickly realized, you know what, I need to get through this fast. And so that I could go back to the program and learn what I need to learn. I go and pass my professional, and I'm happy. Everyone's happy. Great for me. And what I actually started doing was thinking, you know what, I have a professional certification. So why not just start applying? I'm feeling myself, and I'm just applying and applying and applying. And I get very, very, very low responses, and I'm very discouraged. I'm like, I did this. I worked very hard. I've even been taking notes. I've done everything I need to do, and nobody even wants an interview. And I tell Mike, I tell Mike, and he's like, well, you just came back from you. First of all, where were you? I told him, he's like, well, I'm proud and greatly happy that you did that, but they're not interested in you because you have nothing about digital transformation. You have all this, you're an engineer. They're not looking for someone who just passes a test and that's it. That's not what they're looking for. And he told me what I really need to do now, and it broke my heart because I spent 3 months already doing, being in the program, and I'm calculating I got 3 months left, maybe 6 months left. He flat out tells me, we're going to have to start you all over again. And the look on my face, I almost just dropped my phone. I didn't want to hear it. I have to start over again. I have to start over 6 to 8 more months again. He's like, yes, I have to take all this certification nonsense that they gave you, and I have to replace it with the real skills that they're going to ask you and they're going to need you to know. And I was just confused, but I was just studying this to be an architect. But what do you mean? Now I have to erase all of it. What he meant was there's a whole lot of things that they didn't teach in the certification, such as if you use DynamoDB, you pretty much are AWS only proprietary. You can't do anything else. They don't tell you these things because they want you to keep using AWS. And these things are the things that we're talking about, that when you learn in the certifications, they're just teaching you how to get customers stuck with them. That's it. and businesses don't want that. So when I was realizing, coming back to class and hearing how he was talking about, we're not going to use this solution because it doesn't solve the problem. Why did you mention a solution when you don't know their business problems? All of this started to change my way of thinking, and it really put into perspective that I'm a big picture. That my job is about the big picture. It's not about, let me save you money here. Let me configure this thing over here. Let me go do this over here. Let me go give them this solution. If you don't know what their requirements are, if you don't know what their environment is, if you don't know what they're doing, what they need done, you're just blabbing, and no one wants to hear a blabber. So my talk, I could go on and on about all the other skills that I've learned, but throughout the program, not just the technical skills, but the soft skills and communicating, knowing how to read body language, and knowing how to control your voice and the tone of the room. You can't learn that anywhere else. And I would not be able to get it from anywhere else. You can't get it by reading a book. You have to get it by talking to someone who knows it and having them guide you.
Let's talk about some of those special skills, because for people that don't know us, we do extensive training in soft skills, leadership training, emotional intelligence training, CXO relevance training, executive presence, communication skills training, sales training, presentation training, and negotiation training. So let's go through a few ways in terms of how they've changed your life. In the beginning, when you joined us, you said, "Nobody takes me seriously." Do you remember saying that?
I do.
Nobody notices me or takes me seriously. If you walk into a store now, I don't care whether you're wearing flip-flops, if it's a Nordstrom at Saks Fifth Avenue, or a Taco Bell, do they immediately notice who you are?
They do.
That's that executive presence you now have. Do you think they would have hired you if you didn't have that executive presence at 21 years old?
I highly, highly doubt it.
So going in this, and then we're going to dissect this. So the leadership training, the emotional intelligence training, etc. How much do you think that played as an impact in the interview?
Oh my. I think it was more important than the technical knowledge that I knew. What for me, every place does their process different, but why I'm saying this, when I was interviewing, I had so many interviews. I had like 6 in a week. And this is after I have, because at one point when he keeps saying these soft skills, I just tell myself, they're soft skills. like they're just soft skills. What is so important? Why are you drilling this into my head? When I finally understood that, you know what, he's not saying this for no reason. Take these skills seriously. I'm getting 6 interviews in a week. This doesn't make any sense. So I'm going through the week, and I'm through the interviews that week, and I'm realizing as I'm talking to my interviewer, I can very quickly pick up on if I'm going on and saying something they're not interested in. I can immediately shut it down and say, do I need to clarify something, or do I need to talk about something else? Things like CXO relevancy. I had no idea what CX anything was and how important it was. I had an interview with a recruiter, had an interview with an architect. I had an interview with the director of sales engineering. All of those interviews are different. If I didn't know what each one of them wanted to hear from me, I talked to the director of sales engineering. I mean, if I talk to the recruiter, like I'm talking to the director of sales engineering, they're not really going to understand or get enough information to know, I don't think he's fit. Vice versa. If I go talk to the recruiter and talk to them like the architect is talking to me, they're going to be like, I mean, I just need, this is what I need. I need to make sure that my boss likes you. So the CXO part really drills into home that each person that's interviewing you for that position is different. You could talk to a CEO. You need to talk about the business and money. We don't need to talk about machine learning and all. We really need to stay away from that. So once I understood that, and my 4th interview came, and that was with Chase. And I knew who it would be with the executive director architect. I knew what she wanted to hear. She wanted to know if I could contribute to the team, if I had leadership skills, if I had soft skills. Do I have knowledge of at least one piece of technical architecture? These things were way more important. Didn't ask me about AWS CloudWatch, no transit gateway, no configure anything. Didn't care if I could configure things. Didn't care. What she cared about was the biggest thing, me being able to contribute, me being able to lead others, me being able to inspire and motivate others to do their work or help you when sometimes they're not feeling like it, or just in general, to bring up the atmosphere of the team. And I was telling Mike, I'm still shocked. And I know that if she didn't like me, I would not have been hired. There are tons of other people way more technically qualified than me that they could come on a rap list of 5 years of experience, but she took me instead. She took me, and it was because I understand. She could tell I understand. I know how to communicate. I got that from Mike. I know who is who and what they care about, and I got that from Mike. I know what I can contribute and what I can't, and I got that from Mike. These things, empathy and emotional intelligence, will really, really help you convey to your interviewer that you know what you're talking about and you have that executive presence that they're looking for.
And Daniel knows that I'm obsessed with these skills, and here's the reason why. It was about 20 years ago where I had a manager. I had fallen asleep in a CISSP certification training, and my manager like yanks me out and drags me to his office, and I'm expecting him to yell at me. And he proceeds to say, he's like, Mike, you're a little different than the rest of the engineers and team. Is like, you sort of beat to your own drum, but you communicate differently. And he says, hey, Mike, what's the difference between a $150,000 sales engineer and a $300,000 architect? And I'm like, I don't know, but I need to. And he was like, it's executive presence, it's CXO relevancy, it's leadership skills, it's sales skills. He said, these are the skills that can increase the impact you can make to your customer. And then he said, it's executive presence to be taken seriously. And I took it down, and I took training, and I took a lot of it, probably $250,000 worth of training, and the companies I worked for paid for a lot of it, but I did it. And it changed my life, and it paid for itself back. So what have I done in the last 20 years when I teach people how to get hired or how to get promoted? I put these elite skills in because it shows the employer they need you on their team. So let's talk about specificity of training, like you train a pro athlete. One of the reasons I formed this company was the way the certification providers were telling people to just study irrelevant nonsense. Here's what you need to learn. You need to learn sysops. You need to learn DevOps. You need to become a cloud developer. You need to learn Python. And here's the thing. I say, no. I say you learn the skills for your job. You master the skills for your job. You become the greatest and best in the world in your job, and let other people do their jobs and be good at their jobs. So to get your first cloud architect job, did you learn Terraform, DevOps, SysOps, or Python?
Not at all. So just to give a little insight, fun fact, when I first got into LinkedIn, I'm seeing all these AWS certifications. I'm seeing people get the DevOps, Solutions Architect Associate. They're getting the security. They're getting the database. They're getting everything. And I'm just scrolling. And I'm like, wow, that kind of looks cool. You guys got some. Is this what I need to do? This is before I meet Mike. And I'm just going through them. And why I'm saying this is there are hundreds. There's thousands. There's too many. It's actually heartbreaking now that I'm saying there's too many individuals that have, like, I don't even know how many other people's jobs are attached to their job. And it was funny. There was a student actually who they had multiple certifications that were not really fit for the job. And he was saying, oh, they keep asking me coding questions. They keep asking me this question. They keep asking me this question. I'm here for an architect position. I don't want to answer those questions, but they're asking you those questions because you gave them those questions. That's it. If you didn't give them those questions, I promise you the interview would have been so much easier. Because an architect interview, I don't want to say it's easy, but it is not. It is nowhere near an engineer level interview, and depending on how you convey yourself, you can make it a conversation. Now, I'm seeing all these people get all these certifications, and how hard it is for them to get taken serious. You don't need a DevOps. It's just sad. I'm going through the certifications saying, please get this, get this, get this. Oh, you don't have experience? Don't worry. Just go get this certification, go get this certification. You can't put that on your resume. So if you can't put that on your resume, I used to run track in high school. So I like fast. 200-meter sprint, I'm gone. Why? Why am I saying that? Because my brain works fastest way possible. And how do I get fastest way possible? You need to train. You need to train the fastest way possible. Swimming is great if you're gonna run. You need to. I'm not gonna go and do volleyball and go train and do something else. That I need to get fast. So I'm gonna do everything I need to get fast. I apply this in everything in my life. So when I'm talking to Mike and he's giving me the breakdown of, okay, you need to study this. You need to go through this. We don't need to go through that. You need to be able to talk about the data center. You need to be talking about object storage. You need to be able to talk about these things. Then you need to go ahead and look over here, do this reading. We don't need to worry about Python. There's so many applications where AWS, they have Python listed as a basic requirement. Throw it away. You don't no learning Python. I wish I could just put that somewhere. No learning Python. She didn't ask me anything about a coding anything. Have I ever coded? She doesn't care. If I said it, she probably would. I think this is the wrong place for you. Mm-hmm. So I really want to drive it home that I know it seems hard. Like, okay, I got the professional, or I got these certifications, and I'm not, getting noticed yet. It's the worst thing you could do is get another one. The worst thing you could do is get another person's job. And I really want you guys to know that as long as you keep the training that is every step you're going forward is directly towards your goal. You're not taking any side steps. Any reading you do is directly towards what you need to know as an architect, not as an engineer, not as a DevOps or SysOps, because you think it's going to give you more cred. You're not going to get more cred. They're going to make the interview process hard because they don't want you there. Okay, so I'll turn it over to you.
And that's really the key, the specificity. So you said you were a sprinter. I love that. So if you were training for the 100-meter sprint or the 200-meter sprint, you do power training, right? You do power cleans in the gym, you do sprints, you do kettlebell work, you do speed work. Now, those marathoners that are going to run the 10K cross country or 26 miles, do they do speed work or they do long, slow distance work? And
they run for miles.
They run for miles. If you ran for miles as a sprinter, would it make you faster or slower?
Slower.
Slower, because you're training the wrong energy systems, the wrong muscle fiber type. You need fatigue-resistant fast switch fibers, and you're using a combination of the phosphocreatine and the lactate energy pathway. And the marathoners needs long, slow distance, and they're training what's called the oxidative metabolic pathway. And you have to train for your job. I used to practice internal medicine, so trained a few athletes, and that's kind of the things. And Chris ran distance. He couldn't even, like he said, he wouldn't train near the sprinters because totally different. They look different, they walk different, and they talk different because the training's the same. So you got an Olympic sprinter like Usain Bolt. He or she does not train the way the Ironman triathletes do because it's a different sport. And that's why Daniel trained for specificity of training. And I love that he talked about speed work. So thinking about this, now you mentioned these architect interviews are not that technical, and there's a reason for that. How much of it was related to asking the right questions, presentation skills, sales skills, and leadership skills in those interviews? How much of it would you say that was 40%, 60%, 50%?
As some of you know, like I said, I had 6 interviews that week. What I'm trying to say is, throughout all of those interviews, especially the one after the Chase one, the way he emphasized you being able to sell more than being able to know engineering stuff or what the technology is, I could have gotten, he said it, I could have just got hired straight off of that. It put into perspective when I'm going through these interviews, the amount of technical questions is about up to 30%, and that's the most. I've got about 2 when I was with JP Morgan Chase, interviewing with them, and how many questions they asked me? About 12. So very little was focused on, it was just basic. Do you know this? You know that? Great. You know that? Great. You know that? Great. We don't need to worry and talk about that anymore. Now we want to talk about, are you going to be able to communicate well with our team? Are you going to be able to collaborate? Do you know how to design? How are your sales? In fact, your sales skills. They're more concerned with, do you understand this job is a sales job? Because I think a lot of people come in here not really getting it. I've had the director of sales engineering say this. It's interviewed for a lot of people, and they don't seem to understand it's sales. It's sales, and the reason he liked me is because he understood that I understood this is about sales. You want me to design something that will solve a problem in sales, and this is what industry we are in, sales. We're not worried about. We're not a troubleshooter. We're not here going to configure this and be an accountant. I used to, when I was taking those certification tests, I was the cost. We got to worry about the cost, not knowing that is the opposite. If I mentioned, oh, we're gonna, I want to help you with your product, but I want to make it as cheap as possible. She's gonna be like, that's not what we're trying to do. I would prefer you didn't do that. I would prefer you contributed, and if it is what it is, it is what it is. But I really want to drive home that the sales skills, the presentation skills, the designing skills, that's what they care about. And they ask you the basic entry-level technical questions to know, will you be able to answer? Will you be able to design? If we ask you things, will you be able to deliver? It's not about, do you know an API gateway timeout is 29 seconds? Like, they don't care about that. So I want you to take it away.
And I'm going to cover this. The architect job is design, present, and sell. Say it with me, everyone. Write it in the chat box. Design, present, and sell. And then some people are going to say, hey, Mike, is that just pre-sales people? And I'm going to say no. So here's the job of the pre-sales architect, which is me most of the time. I go to the customer and I ask their executives, tell me about your business. What are your business goals, your business pain points, and your business challenges? From that, I get some information. I look at their balance sheet. I look at their financial statements. I look at what industry analysts are saying about them. And then I think about what types of technology can improve their business performance, whether it be increase sales, decrease expenses, improve collaboration, improve customer experience, supply chain performance. I map out those technologies, and then I go document it, present it, and sell it back to the customer. That's what we do if we work for AWS or Cisco or Google, etc. Now, how about the cloud architect or the solution architect that works post-sales, the person that works for a bank or that works for a global reseller? What do? They go and ask the executives of their company, what kind of business problems do you have that I can help you solve? Then they go back and they ask questions. They get engineers to baseline the current systems, and they make a design. And then what do? They sell it back to the executives so the executives can say, yes, I'm going to do this. And when the project's done, they hand it to the engineers to build. So it's a job of design, present, and sell. And that's why when you take certification courses, which are the name of the service and how to configure it, and we're focusing on designing, presenting, and selling, it's like, this is bad. Now you get a million of these certifications, which are the name of the service and how to configure them. And they want someone that can design and present and sell. And you're basically building the brand of everything they don't want. They want an executive, a leader. Look at Daniel speak. Look at him. Can you tell that he's 21? If I didn't tell you, would you think he was 30 and a manager? I mean, Elonzo looked at him and said, I feel like you're the loan officer in the bank and I need to apply for something and impress you. But it's true. Look at the executive presence he has. He's not 21. If I go to a meeting with them and somebody thinks he's 40, I'm going to go along with it because I don't want them to know how young he is because he's ahead of his time. Now, let's talk about fight that's in you, because I love that's in you. Was it always easy in my program? Was it ever a little edgy once or twice?
There were a few times in the program where, in my head, I was thinking, am I wasting my time? Am I just not? At one point, I don't want to say I wanted to quit, but the thought of, what are we doing? I'm someone that, he knows I'm not very patient. I hate, it's, to me, patience is like wasting time. You can't, you don't have time to waste. So I'm just telling myself, why am I here? What am I doing here? And for me, I know everyone has their own different vice, but for me, I see a lot of, let's just say, a lot of people, a lot of characters that when they find what they're going to do in life, it sounds funny, but the greatest people are not afraid to die for what they want in life. So what someone say, a lady could say, I want to be a nurse. And someone could say, you know how hard that's going to be? It's going to be very hard. 10 years, you're going to pay $200,000, and you're going to be in, and the interest rate's at least going to be 10%. Just because you're a nurse, I just want to let you know. Someone who is determined and does not care and who will be successful no matter how much debt is in front of them is the person that says, I don't care. I'm going, like, I can't leave this planet until I'm a nurse. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to be. And if it takes me until 40, it takes me till I'm 40. It takes me till, and that mentality was able to drive me and say, you know what? I don't care how long it takes. I know it's been at least 2 or 3 times where I told Mike, I don't know if I could do this anymore. And 1, 2 times he was like kicking me in the butt, like, no, you gotta go. You came here already. You've done all this work. Look at Yvonne, look at Jawad, look at Praveen. All these people believe in you, and I believe in you. They did it. You can't stop. And that last reassuring thought that I was able to comfortably say, this is what I'm going to live on this planet for. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to get it. So that is the type of determination it takes, because there will be a few times where you may think I'm wasting my time, or it's not happening fast enough, or this person just got cloud hired, I didn't, or this person was in the program just as long as I was, but he just got hired or she just got hired, and I'm still all the way over here. Doesn't matter. There's too many cloud architect jobs. There's at one point I was thinking to myself, is Mike shooting himself in the foot? What if he hires too many people and they're all cloud hired? And then our thought came to my head, there's not enough people for Mike to hire to fill all these jobs.
Exactly.
There's just not enough. So once you realize that, and jobs will always be created for you, even as of right now, you're thinking it's taking forever, all these jobs being taken. A job will be created for you when you need it. It's waiting for you, but you can't get there if you stop, if you give up, if you say, I can't do this anymore. You have to know what you want and be willing to die for it. That is my personal advice. Now, don't do anything crazy, obviously, but that just means that is the determination you need to have in order to get what you really want in this life.
That's the thing. It's the unwilling fight. When I went to college to study nursing, I went to school from 7 to 3. I was married, which was really awesome. I worked from 3 to 11, mostly Monday through Friday, which meant I got to work 30 minutes late. 2 or 3 days a week, I worked 11 to 7 as well. And I worked a double shift on Saturday and Sunday. I got through school. I had no debt, all kinds of things. But, I was going to be a nurse, and I wanted it, and nobody can take it from you. So, I remember one of the times you were a little frustrated, and I remember what happened, and you were totally right, but I was right too. I like to get my students to write blogs and articles to get their name out there, but also to learn how to write. Now, Daniel gave me one. It was good. Wasn't anything wrong with it. I sent it back and said all the things it needed. He improved it. I said good, but not good enough. Sent it back. On the 6th time, he's like, Mike, is it good enough already? And I said, Daniel, you don't understand. You've only had 6 revisions. On my first major paper that I wrote, I had it sent back to me 122 times. You got 160 more to go, but keep at it, keep fighting. So, here's the thing. If I didn't think you had it in you, do you think I would have sent it back to you 6 times?
Definitely not.
So because I kept sending it back to you, it's because I saw something in you that I couldn't let the talent go to waste. See, everybody has something that bothers them. 2 things get me in life. When someone says, I can't, it just kills me. I can't. I don't believe in I can't. I was injured in an accident and couldn't walk for like 6 years. 6 to 8 years. I did 6 to 8 hours of physical therapy all day, every day. Refused pain meds just so I could fight physical therapy. 13 doctors told me it wasn't possible. Guess what? I'm sitting here with you guys today, so we can do the impossible. I've had patients that were dying of cancer that we thought would never make it survive. I've literally had patients that were dying, and I'm not joking, that had a family member that was in India that took a week to get here, and they literally waited to die until they got to hug and kiss their children, and died 5 minutes later, but they waited. So the mind is powerful. And that's why when I saw so much in you from that first call, that's why I've always fought for you. So, realistically, the specificity, the training, the kind of way we did things, keeping you away from the other stuff and other careers. How important do you think it's going to be able to lead a team, to be able to do your job? Meaning this, do you think it's possible now that I've shown you networking and cloud, which realistically speaking is a data center, right? And you've learned BGP, and you've learned networking and interior gateway protocols, and you know data center well, you know what kind of storage, how to architect it, how to work around it, the databases to use, which kind, you know how to do multi-cloud, your next generation firewalls and your IDS and your IPS systems, and your business applications, and you know it all. Guess what? What's the likelihood at the world's biggest bank where you're going to need to build a team of an IAM architect, a security architect, 10 network architects, 3 enterprise architects, 10 DevOps engineers, 3 this, just to get the job done? Do you think it's possible?
Very, very likely.
So then which do you think is more important, your leadership skills or exactly the depth of your technical skills?
My leadership skills. Because as you said, these people aren't working for me, and I need to be able to communicate with them. So if his program, I will say, the reason why I got into cybersecurity was honestly because I was afraid of networking. I was terrified. I didn't want to look at an IP address. I didn't want to see it. I wanted it to not exist. But when Mike broke everything down, subnetting, I watched that video like 3 times, supernetting. And now that I understand what it is, it's like gold. Now I'm not afraid when I see anything in the field that resembles networking, that resembles the cloud or data center, or anyone that wants to ask me, do I know what I'm talking about? I think I know what I'm talking about. And I would never have done that or been open towards that without Mike. No one would be able to teach me networking because I'm very stubborn. You can't just throw a book at me, and I can't read a networking book. But he taught it to me. And I'm saying this because although those technical skills were very important and I feel like I can take over the world, I can't walk into a room and say, hello, I know networking. You want to work for me, Mr. IAM architect? That they're not questioning or wanting to talk to me about networking or things like that. What they want to know is he cool to work with? Do I want to work with him? What is he going to do for me and help me? Does he care about me and and how I'm feeling? Does he just want me to work for him and so he can get his promotion? And being able to lead the team, lead people. You don't need to be, I'm not the smartest. I'm never going to be claiming I'm the smartest in anything, but being able to say, can you help me? I need your help. You're the best person here. I need your help. What do you want to achieve? I can help you get there. And doing that with everybody and making sure you you watch people, because some people may have a bad day. What kind of leader are you if someone's having a bad day and you're too busy talking about sales to know that someone on your team is not feeling good? They're the ones who are driving your sales. So knowing about tech is great, but it's not going to solve those problems. Talking about networking is not going to make him happy or make them work harder. So that's why those leadership skills are very important, and that's why I believe they believed and saw the potential in me as well.
I think it had so much to do with it. There's something I want to actually, because now I'm going to take you outside of your world. Now, the leadership skills that you have, the ability to connect to others, those executive presence training, those scale skills, conveying the right attitude, reading the room. If next year you say, Mike, I don't feel like being a cloud architect, I want to do something else. I want to be a CTO. I want to be the director of engineering. Do you think that you're pretty much ready to do it anyway, because they're like career agility skills that work everywhere?
Yeah. Yeah,
keep going on that.
Real quick, that reminded me. So the executive architect that I was talking to, after we've gone through the offer and stuff, I can speak about this. But it went back to when we were in the program and people were asking, what's a solution architect, a cloud architect? What is the difference and all that? And although, yes, there are some differences, what I've found is it's a title. And what I mean by it's a title is I could have said, name me a cloud architect. She'll name me a cloud architect. Name me a solution architect. She'll name me a solution. What I'm trying to say is these roles, they prepare you for the big roles. And they're so similar in each other that in this space, someone could be your peer and they're called a cloud architect. Someone's over here being a solution architect. They're in the same field. They're doing the same job. They're mostly doing the same job. And in order to I would love to be a CTO, by the way. That's my goal.
I see it coming.
But I could be a cloud architect or solution architect to get there. And I just want people to not get so hung up on titles and understand that the cloud architect, the solution architect, all these different specializations of architect can all lead you into being a CTO or CIO or COO, or if you want to do something else, you're going to need those skills. Those skills Mike gives you like veteran mode difficulty. Everything's hard. This is hard. This is hard. Why? Because out there, it's not really going to be that hard, but he's preparing you because other people were not prepared for that difficulty. So that is something you guys should know.
So to be fair, and I did borrow this from some elite military units, we train our students today in a manner that others won't, so that tomorrow our students can do what others can't. So that to us is critical. Train the way you fight, and you're a good warrior. Train the way you don't fight, and when it comes to war, you're broken. So we train our people to be like lions out there and take up. So, what about all these other people that are afraid to be successful? What do you have to say to them?
So personally, this hits home because sometimes some people feel like they don't deserve it, or they feel like something bad's going to happen right after, or like they're like, what's going on in their life, they're putting it on themselves and saying, this is either too good to be true. This can't be true. I don't deserve something like this. Being successful, I don't like that. A little too scary. Probably not really possible. What you're doing, you're putting all these roadblocks. I had to realize what I did that too. You yourself, you're using your brain are actually creating an obstacle. That's what you're doing. There's something that I learned, and long story short, it's kind of why you don't want to think negative thoughts too much, because your brain can't process a no. It just can't. So if you say, I'm going to be successful, your brain is going to process that as, okay, this sounds great. We're going to go be, or if you say I'm going to be a failure, your brain is going to say, yes, okay, I guess we're going to be a failure. So when you keep saying, or you're scared, or, oh, first of all, it's great to be scared of something because it means that you have character. It means you're not invincible. You're human, and you actually have something to overcome and be proud of once you get there. But letting that fear turn into something else, or to guilt, or, oh, I don't deserve it, you are creating, you're making your life harder. You're making the road harder. The path is as simple as the path. It's paid for you, however long it takes. Success is promised at the end of the road. It's promised there. It's not a joke. This isn't a gimmick. You'll fall, you'll trip, you may even get lost. Then you gotta walk back. You may even have to climb a tree and then jump and then go over there. But it's right there. The pot of gold is there. Now, telling yourself I don't deserve it, then you're not gonna get it. You're really not gonna deserve it. Saying, oh, I'm paralyzed in fear. So not only are you going to allow fear stop you, but now you're paralyzing yourself from doing anything else. You're not going to achieve the best at anything if you're scared of success. So I really want people to know that I was scared. I was terrified. Mike telling me you're 21, it almost seemed like he wasn't scared at all. The way he was talking to me, and I'm on the phone petrified. I am petrified. I just left this boot camp. I have money to pay, so this isn't a joke. I have family, and I was petrified. This isn't gonna. I'm 21. No one wants to talk to me. They don't want to talk to a 21-year-old. Fast forward, not only am I here today, but I'm proud to say that I was scared. I was scared to death, but that doesn't matter. What mattered was I was scared and I kept going. What mattered was I was scared, but I kept telling myself I deserve that. I don't care if I don't deserve it. Even if I don't deserve it, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get that success. It's there for me. And the only one stopping me is me. So turn it back over to you.
The only one stopping you is you. So I like to talk about fear versus courage. We all have fear. The truly courageous are do what they do despite the fear. It's not easy to do this. And this is scary because, when I explained the role to Daniel, he thought, because he did some tech stuff, that it was going to be a tech job. And he didn't realize this is a scary leadership job. This is a big job. So I'm going to ask all of you in the audience to notice something. And actually, before we do, can you give me a hashtag cloud hired to celebrate Daniel's success? And then give me a quick hashtag cloud hired, a quick hashtag cloud architect in the box, in the chat box. But I'm going to ask you to observe something about Daniel. I'm going to tell you what employers want. I'm going to tell you what employers look for in the perfect employee. Employers want the following: not experience, but technical competency or the ability to do the job. I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen Daniel do it. I've witnessed it. He can do it. Number 2, here's what employers care about. Can they trust you? So we're going to ask Daniel a question about how he answered some interview questions. Number 3, they care about if you know what you know and know what you don't know so you don't make major and dangerous mistakes. Number 4, they're looking for energy, enthusiasm, and passion. Guess what else they want? Someone that raises the energy in the room and brings out the best in others. They're looking for a great team player, and they're looking for someone that's willing to go above and beyond. Now, everybody, look at Daniel. Look at those characteristics of what you've seen today. Look at how he's communicating. Is he energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate? Was he willing to have a document sent back to him 6 times, which he rewrote and spent 6 months on to get hired? Yes, he was. Did he realize when he didn't know something and work hard to get there? I promise you he did. Can an employer see his emotional intelligence? I promise you they can. Look how control he is of his own emotions. He's 21. 512 people have already seen this. And he's 21. Look at him. He's a leader. He's the future CTO. In fact, while we were speaking, a 25-year-old student of mine from Grenada told me he just got a big cloud security architect position. And I'm super excited about that. We got him a security job last year, and I'm super excited about this. But that's the thing. He's got a big offer now, but he's just like you. Same thing. I see him as a future CTO. So all those things that you have. Now, did you know everything on the interview, or there's a question or two that you didn't know?
There was definitely a question or two that I didn't know. For this specific company, she asked me, was I familiar with this tool that they used with their architects? And I asked, could you explain the tool, what it is? And once she explained it, I very quickly realized I have no idea what this tool is, how to use it. So when she finished, I answered and said, although I haven't used that tool and I don't necessarily know how it works, what I do know is I can tell you what I have used, how we've used that, and how I can take that. If you show me this tool, I'm very, very confident I can use it and use it to the best of the ability. And that's all she wanted to hear. That if I didn't know it, I'm not gonna, oh yeah, I know it, and then set myself in a trap asking me this question, that question, that question. And the interview's over. Because once you say, I know something, you should assume they're going to pry deeper. And don't be afraid of saying, you don't need to know every single question. I know some people think it's like a quiz, and if you get 8 out of 10 questions right, you pass. This is not like that. You need to be able to, because they're going to ask, some of them may ask you multiple questions that they know you're not going to know, just to see, can we trust him? Is he going to lie and say he knows it for the job, or is he going to tell us, I honestly don't know? So yes, I had to do that, and honesty was the best policy.
And but it did two things. It showed they could trust you. It shows your integrity and character, which they want, but it also shows you know what you know and know what you don't know. Let's think about what happened last year. Somebody that didn't completely understand BGP as well as they needed to made a slight misconfiguration at Facebook, and they were down for hours. Google Cloud had a BGP misconfiguration too, and they were down for a period of time last year. Other clouds had other outages. We won't go into why. That's neither here nor there for right now. But if the person knew what they knew and knew what they didn't, maybe they would not have made that mistake. And when you don't know what you know and don't know what you know, you can literally speaking take down a whole company. I literally, 20 some years ago, was working at one of the largest market makers on the NASDAQ. And somebody was studying for their CCIE exam and experimented with it on the production network. And when the Cisco put it on the CCNA exam, it was meant not to work. So they wanted you to know if you had the technical savviness and knew enough about how it worked to work around the problems. And this person deployed it on a production network. And I caught it. I know exactly what it was because I recognized it from my CCIE exam. But he didn't know what he didn't even know. No, he shouldn't have done it in the first place, and I saved his job for him, even though I probably shouldn't have, after I fixed it and explained what happened to his manager in the polite, sort of emotionally intelligent sort of way, and then told his manager that I would remediate this character, give him another shot, which I did, and he did great. Ultimately became a CCIE too, but never made that mistake again, but that's neither here nor there. So there's that. So I loved how you showed that out. So has this changed your life?
I said it on Zoom and I'll say it again. Mike saved my life. Without Mike, I keep thinking back, what if I wandered YouTube or wandered the web and just figured out all these things on my own? But there are very few things that not only would have not known I needed to know, like sales, design, communication, CXO relevancy, but there's a lot of things that I wouldn't, especially in the order that he placed them in, I wouldn't know where to begin. I'd be lost. I'd be on a map going from Georgia and end up somewhere in California, and I'm going to New York. I don't know where I'm going without guidance. And being, I play the piano as well, and I know what self-taught is. I've self-taught how to play, and it's amazing. But there is no way I could self-teach myself from leaving that program I was in to where I am today. It's virtually impossible without Mike literally holding my hand and walking me through, saying it's all right. I know you're scared. I know you don't think you're gonna. Don't worry about that stuff. You're here now, and what I need you to do is do the work. You do the work and do the training and focus on what you need done for this career. Don't do anything else. I promise you. He promised to me that I'll be good. This changed my life forever. This weekend I'll be moving, and it's just also some news is Chase would like me to be a spokesperson for some different events with high school kids and college kids. So without Mike, I wouldn't even feel comfortable talking, public speaking, or doing these things. And he opened the door for me to do so. So thank you, Mike. Again, you didn't change my life. You saved it. And if people don't believe what this program can do after seeing me, and when they get into the program, they will see how I started. I look like I don't even belong there. I look like an alien, and how I turned into what I am today. That they can do it too. So thank you, Mike.
It's a matter of just being what's appropriate in the right place at the right time. When I go home to Greece, I do something differently than when I'm an executive. I wear T-shirts at home. And when I meet people, I wear a canali suit because it's what fits me, or a handmade one. If I have to, I wear whatever is appropriate. So I want to bring it in. We're going to start bringing in other people. The point is this year we've gotten people from all walks of life and all over the world hired. I saw somebody ask the question. We've gotten Americans hired, Cameroonians hired, Nigerians hired, Indians hired, people from Gabon, Benin, you name it, all over the world has been there, people from the Caribbean, because I see somebody asking, what about people from this world? We've gotten people from all parts of the world, all walks of life. We're all from different places. I speak Greek at home, got students who speak Spanish at home, Hindi at home, Punjabi at home, Urdu at home, French at home, Yoruba, all kinds of cool languages. So all of you can do it anywhere in the world. There's nothing stopping us other than you. So now what I want to do is as follows. I'm going to bring in my cool team. Let's please congratulate Daniel. JP Morgan Chase wants to make him a spokesperson. He's 21 years old. It's easy to get a 50-year-old hired. It's easy. It's hard as a 21-year-old. So there's that. So let's make this a really special segment. Let's bring in some of my team. We'll bring in questions, but my team's excited too because we love when everybody gets hired. It happens all the time. But when it's somebody less than 40 or less than 30, it's a lot harder. So we're super excited. So my team's here with me. Make sure you join us, everybody, on the free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar on Thursday. Please join us. Please take the 9 a.m. question and answer if you've got any career questions and answers with us. I should probably say, but I never even talk about it, but I saw the banner. We're actually running a 30% sale, which basically means our training is basically the single day's pay for the average cloud architect graduate that actually leaves our program. I'm doing it not because I'm crazy. I want to get everybody cloud hired. So there's that. So let's bring in some questions for Daniel, or let my team see if they have any things to say first.
Oh, I got a hard-hitting question for you.
Uh-oh.
Since you just brought it up, Mike.
Okay.
I'm a numbers guy. It's not for you, but since you brought it up, Daniel mentioned earlier on that he had taken part in a pricier offering previously. Was that pricier offering or our product that's 1 day's pay for a cloud architect that got you where you are?
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. Could you say that last part again?
He's asking if that $35,000 program, which cost 50 times more than ours, got you hired, or was it our program that you actually won a scholarship to by joining the last social media contest?
And you don't have to answer. That's enough.
The operative
let me-
phrase is opportunity costs.
Opportunity cost. There you
Yeah.
go. I like that.
What was that 16 weeks of distraction where if you were with us, we just would have gotten you hired 16 weeks sooner?
That was gonna be my follow up. My follow up was gonna be, let's go back to where you just blatantly said, "Yeah, I
Oh,
didn't
they're
do what
sticking
Mike
it
said."
to you. They're sticking it to you, Daniel.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna follow what Mike says. I'll get there. Sure.
I will say, one goal of this, one goal that I have for the stream is to dissuade anybody, any human being watching this. If you take anything from, you don't care about network, you didn't hear what I said about anything, sales, this is the one thing that I want you to take. Never. If you're especially thinking about a career in technology, engineer, architect, I don't care. Ever step foot, don't go anywhere close, don't watch a commercial, don't watch an ad, don't entertain it, a boot camp of any sort. I don't care what it's for. I don't care what they say, what they market, all I will say what was sad, I was one of the second people in my entire cohort to pass the Security Plus, and everyone was happy for me or whatnot. There were people, let's say I passed it in September. There were people all the way up until November, December. They're passing their tests and they're applying to jobs. And around that time, I believe I'm already in the program. Some people are looking at me sideways, like, you just got out of this program to go do another one? Failure. And I'm looking at other people. How many months it took them to get hired was 3 months plus. With their career teaching and all this stuff. What I'm saying is, this program for less than $1,000, I still can't believe it, for less than $1,000 was infinitely, I would have done this program 35 times over, and I probably would be a CTO at this point. I don't want to say wasted time, because I did learn a lot and I could learn faster than others, but at that price, it's fine that I pay it, but I don't want anybody else. I don't care how good it is, what it looks like, what it's trained for. They're not doing anything other than packaging a certification at the end and give you some training and saying you're going to be hired. That means nothing. They're not teaching you the skills you need to be hired. They're not teaching you for a specific role. If you want to be in this field and you don't want to have to go spend thousands of dollars, please, I beg of you, click the button. I'm not a salesperson. I don't want you guys thinking they're doing it because
I'm sitting here like, dang, I was supposed to have a button ready. Okay.
I need you to click the button. Stop hesitating. A 21-year-old is telling you to do it.
Yeah.
A young boy is telling you to do it. So please stay away from any boot camp. It was, I don't want to say worthless, but it could not have gotten me hired, and let alone hired within 3 months of me graduating. This program, I had 6 interviews in a week after I took what he was saying seriously, and out of them, 3 of them would have given me an offer. Chase was just the best one, so they gave it to me first. I took it, but I know for a fact I would have had an offer from 3 places, and it wouldn't have been without Mike. So,
But
I love that caveat.
Wow.
Seriously.
Thank you. See, what we did is showed you exactly what you needed to learn. Exactly. We were laser specific in what you needed to learn. How? Why? Because I've been an architect for the last 25 years. I speak to recruiters, hiring managers, and I've asked them forever, what's your perfect hire? So if you're going to produce a product, make it what your customer wants, and they're always going to buy it. So obviously you can tell when I produce this. To produce a course like this for less than $1,000, what's my real goal? To maintain a world-class staff of people like Chris and Elonzo and Chow and Leo and Eddie, so I can provide services to build people's great careers. Other else, why would I do it?
This is what I live for. Yeah. This I listened intently with what you did, where you figuratively started from the bottom. Now you're here. Now you're really I'm just really impressed, Daniel, with the diligence and everything else. I mean, I think this adds more to the testimony of where you've been because you had to fight. You changed your mind, you pivoted to say, okay, I don't want to do this. And then you realize this is the only way to go. You invested in yourself. You took the time. You clawed your way. This was not easy because you have to do the work if you want this to succeed. If the and I say this all the time, the program works if you do. Yep. And you did it. And it's just like Mike, this is a passion project for Mike. This is something that Mike is doing, like case in point for the boot camp. We had people from Tampa Bay to Tanzania. We had people from Cameroon to Canada. This is a global community. And for you to be able to, and this is no knock on young people or younger generation, but most of the time, they don't want older people to tell them what to do. This is what you should do. And they're like, I'm going to follow my own path. And yet you still were able to navigate back, realize the value of what's here at Go Cloud Careers, and look at you now. And I'm really excited to see where you're going to go. I want to see, and I say all this to say, where do you see yourself in 3-5 years? What is your ultimate goal? Where do you want to go?
Well, I've got some ideas, but I don't want to tell it and have people steal it from me now.
Okay.
But what I will say is I do really want to be a CTO, not just because of the leadership quality, but I've always been a nerd. So this is why I love this community, because it taught me it's fine. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be a nerd. It's okay. The nerd in me loves sci-fi, and it loves seeing technology being able to help humans as far as their health. There's a lot of things that I see every day that could be prevented or could be treated if there were technology available. So my dream is to lead the, I don't know how to say it, but lead the industry where a lot of people can afford better treatment using technology to extend the quality of our lives and really move the world, bring the future here and move the world forward. So I need to be a CTO in order to do that.
Now you know why I do this. You got a 21-year-old that wants to change the world by making healthcare safer. So he's talking digital transformation. No, he didn't talk about his Python code or a Hello World script. He's talking digital transformation. Guess what? Daniel's going to do it. I know he's going to do it. Yeah. I want him as a CTO. Heck, I want bigger plans for him too. He's 21. Where's he going to be by 26?
Yeah, I'd work with Daniel any day of the week. Any day of the week. I would be on his team. Definitely.
I greatly appreciate it. It's been an honor. It'd be an honor to have you guys on my team. And Mike will always be my mentor. He's not going anywhere. Without him, I wouldn't know where I'm going. So I need people like him. And he's the leader of those people, because having Mike in your corner is like having an ace to win any war, any battle. You're not worried because you got Mike. You're not worried about anything. So I want everyone to have big goals. Mm-hmm.
People that really know me know that I'll really reach out when really try and help them. If they're transitioning between houses, if they're transitioning this, people that really know me.
So I'm gonna bring in. I've got one question that I want to ask, and then we'll get to questions that are from the chat box on YouTube. So I don't mean to pick on you, but
the disclaimer.
But I'm glad that you talked about it, because it's real. It's reality. It's what happens in our program. You joined the program, then you decided to not follow the program. You decided to do it your way, and that has nothing to do with that. That's not just you. That's like 50% of the population. It's I'm gonna try it my way. I'm gonna do it my way. my view, my belief is that one of the benefits and one of the biggest components of our program is the community and the fact that not everyone is in the exact same place. We're not doing batches and everyone's starting and stopping at the same time. So what I've seen from talking to so many people that have gotten cloud hired and doing the cloud hired videos is that they talk about the community. They talk about, and Eva mentioned it when she was on our show, talking about being able to see people. And you mentioned it earlier, seeing Jawad, seeing Praveen, seeing Joe, seeing these other people that have gotten this, they've gotten it. What was that part of your reason of coming back and actually doing the program and doing and coming back and being like, all right, it's not working. I tried it my way. What do we do? What was it? What allowed you? How'd you get to the point to where you were like, okay, all right, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna do what Mike says.
Okay. For me, a little different. The community helped me in a different way, which I'll get into.
Okay.
But for me, like I said, I'm very hard-headed. I'm very stubborn. Someone could, like Mike could tell me, hey, you need to do it this way. And my brain's like, Mike, you are a genius that has amassed all this knowledge from this point to this point. Please go easy on me, please. Okay. I can't do that. So, what to me, what got it was Abigail's one of my close friends here, and she knows me a little bit more personal to know that coming into this program, I was already feeling a little. How do I say this? I want to get this done as fast as possible. I don't want to hear anyone got to say. I need this done. And she was telling me, don't let your personal life make you feel like this. You need to do it faster, or you need to. And I wasn't really hearing it. And I go and take my certifications, and then I come back to realize I'm a very, very. I pick up things pretty well, pretty fast. And I noticed a distinct difference in how I was learning this material from Mike's material. And once I realized what I was doing was basically engineer talk, because at one point I pass it and I'm listening to Mike and all these things are starting to fill in like, wait a second, I know that now, but he says pretty much this is why you know that it's not going to work. You might as well forget it. You know this now. And then I was like, so you mean I just spent time to learn this and now I got to forget it? I wasted time, did I? But I know people have different ways of learning, but how do I say this? Sometimes the only way for some people to get the lesson is if they get it in themselves. They drive the car in the ditch and they realize, man, maybe I shouldn't have drove there. Shouldn't have took that turn. Maybe I should have just listened to Mike. I know I want to get there faster. And I know Daniel told me if you go that way, it's probably going to be a little harder. But Daniel's a genius too, and Mike's a genius, and all these people talking to me are geniuses. Why am I listening to them? I'm not a genius. I'm a normal person. So since they don't understand me, that's where it goes. That's where the logic is. So some people it'll take seeing someone like me literally say you don't need to do that, or some people they gotta drive it in the ditch and realize when they go interview they don't want to hear transit gateway and API gateway and what you learn. They want to hear, great, you know about it. How does an API gateway work within an architecture? And you're stumped and you're clueless, and then you feel the burn of I could have listened to Mike. He would have taught me how to design all this stuff. And then I could have just, that's what it's called, an API gateway. Oh, okay. So,
I just love the composure Mike has, because he's trying his best not to laugh, but the wisdom that he imparts, it's like, it's there. It's he's like a really great mentor father, where it's like, okay, I gotta let him fail on his own and let him realize where he's going, and that he will, come back
You,
around.
you say that, but you guys have no idea how difficult it was for me back when it
Well,
was.
you are the dad of the dad, so
When it was just me and Mike would be like, how do we get them to get it? How do we get all of them to understand? It's like, well, you're just gonna. They're just.
It's
I-
like
you know,
trying
it's
to
interesting.
reverse engineer what the world has been telling them to try to get them to understand. Like case in point for me, as a quick caveat, when I first met Mike, I said, well, don't I have to go? AWS, they're good for giving you this monopoly board trail of what you have to learn. And he said, no, don't do that. No, don't do that. But Mike, no, you don't need to do that. So we've all been there at once upon a time. So it's not just you, Daniel.
Oh no, it's just so funny. I'm last year, and I finally got Mike. We finally got on the same page. But it was just I had to. We had to come to an agreement that
I was privy to one of those
just how people
conversations,
are.
which was very interesting.
It's like people are just going to learn the hard way. They're just going to do it, and there's not anything we can do about it.
And it's true. And I've tried so hard. I've written articles now in 20 or 30 magazines, everything from Information Week, Tech Republic, Tech Radar, saying certification's not going to get you hard what it is. Daniel's told everybody that the certification training he has didn't get him, that he had to unlearn it to get hired. And yet multiple people in the chat box are asking what he used for certification preparation, which he told you he just had to unlearn because he couldn't get hired from. So the reason I started this company was to save people from that kind of training. There's an opportunity cost of your time. Here's what opportunity cost means, everybody. If you spend your time, your money, your something, one place, you can't spend it elsewhere. The average cloud architect earns $600 a day. A good one earns $1,200 a day or more. So if you spend a year learning SysOps, DevOps, Python, and software development, and you never do it in your job, guess what? You've wasted a minimum of $160,000, minimum of lost wages. But it's not just that. If instead of wasting that $160,000 of lost training time learning garbage that's completely irrelevant to us, critical stuff for somebody else, but garbage for us. If you're learning that, what aren't you learning? Your job. And you're not getting better at your job. So what separates that $600 architect versus that $1,200 or the $1,800 architect? Their ability to do the job better, better presence, better business acumen, better leadership, better design skills, better tech acumen. So train your job, not somebody else's. That's the way to the top. Train somebody else's. That's your way to the bottom.
Yeah. All right, so let's get some questions in here. But before I bring in the questions, since Mike decided to just go into the opportunity cost, I don't want any responses. I just want Daniel to think about this. Think about those 3 months that you went out and did your Rumspringa and did whatever you wanted to do for 3 months, and learn the hard way. So just take the annual salary that you just accepted and divide that by 4, and that's what you missed out on.
You're like there's 3 different uncles that are yelling at you right now.
yeah, that's the case that I was expecting. Yeah, there we go.
I just view it part of life now, but I've tried screaming from the mountaintops. I wrote 3 AWS books. I've done free CCNA, free Azure Solution Architect Expert this week, free AWS Advanced Networking, free Azure AWS Solution Architect Associate under Channel Y, because we're teaching more of how it works versus how to configure it, because we cater to architects. Now for our engineers, don't get me wrong, we train them differently. They do learn the code, they do learn Python, they do learn Linux, they do their Terraform, and they're hands-on. Why? It's a different career. So we train people. You train the sprinter to be a sprinter, you train the marathoner to be a marathoner. That's why we do it.
All right, so we've got a question here for Daniel.
Real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Wanted to say real quick, to piggyback off what he said, there was one thing that I saw that terrified me, and it was, I guess I'll just say it. There are some people, and since this person did say it, I think I could say this. Neil Davis, there was this video that I saw, and it just shocked me. It terrified me. And it said, you can't get a job without experience. You can't be a solution architect without experience. There was a
an
whole
entire
animated
conversation.
video.
We had an entire
The whole,
conversation between the two of us as soon as that hit. And we were like, oh.
just so it was. I'm watching the video and my heart is just dropping because someone that is so influential and people look up to him, he's saying things that are basically not only crushing their dreams, but not true. I'm looking at it and I'm just imagining, if there's anybody that's watching this video and they believe it, they just lost 6 figures. Because I didn't believe that. I didn't believe it at all. I don't got experience. My executive director, architect, in fact, I asked her how did she get in her position. She said she got into technology unconventionally, as just like me. She was not born into technology, and she got into this role because of, you guessed it, her communication skills and being able to communicate the technology very well to the point where they all just said, you know what, she's going to be perfect for this job. So I wanted, I've done their training, Neil Davis and all that. I would highly, 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 when I'm going through it, it's sad because I was thinking, is there any, like, if it wasn't for Mike, this is all we would be left with? We would just be left with passing. We would just be left there looking all this documentation, click some buttons, and then you look around looking for your job, looking for interviews, and nothing. That's what would happen if Mike wasn't here. If this program was not here, you would just pass a certification that says Solution Architect Professional, and that's it. That's it. So
Mike, we've got 30 seconds. That's it.
Okay, so, just to let you know, when I saw engineers were creating architecture training, I decided to come out of retirement and create this course. I won't say who I created it for, but when I saw the bad advice of train sysops, DevOps, this, and I saw people that were perpetuated, I came out of retirement. That's why I wrote that book on passing the AWS Certified Solution Architect Professional and gave it away for free, stripped out 10 pages. That's why I've done free boot camps. I will do agree with this. He cannot get somebody a cloud architect job, and none of those people can. And here's the reason. You have to be a cloud architect first. You have to be able to give a presentation. A cloud architect is not hide behind slides. They're not in the corner of slides. They're out there in the open. I'm not talking about what anybody's presentations are. A cloud architect is an executive like you. You can't teach a job that you don't know. And if you can teach executive presence or don't have it yourself, and I'm not referring to him or any of them in general, if you don't know how to do ROI modeling, if you haven't been trained in CXO relevancy, if you haven't been trained in leadership, if you haven't been trained in sales, you can't teach skills that you don't know happen. And there's no certification that teaches these. So I came out of retirement because I was unhappy with what was being out there. Sure, there are companies like Global Knowledge where you can spend $5,000 for a week and get real certification training. It's real training, but still not going to create an architect. And how many people do we get out of these master's degree programs that have been there getting associate certifications in 10 things and learning coding and DevOps and sysops? And how many of them have we worked with that we've then gotten hired after they've spent 2 years in a master's degree learning cloud computing? And here's the reason why. They're training cloud computing. I don't train cloud computing. I train cloud architects and I train cloud engineers. There's thousands of jobs in the cloud. I can't prepare the elite sprinter. Usain Bolt can't basically do G.I. Joe training one day, Olympic sprinter training another day, gymnastic training each day. And that's why it doesn't work. And that's why we had to create our program. And then I won't say anything else. You know why I came out of retirement. And I won't say anything about any of the cloud providers because it wouldn't be appropriate.
We're here to get you hired, not certified. That's it.
Yes. I like that.
We don't do batches, and here's the why. Students enroll anytime we get them in, and we keep them for up to a year or until they're hired. I can't time how long it takes. Somebody takes a little longer, somebody takes a little shorter. Maybe they have more time or effort in their life. I don't care, but I care that you guys get hired. That's why Chris and I and Elonzo and Chal and me and Eddie do it. And we're spread out through the world. Eddie's in Cameroon, Chal's in the U.S., Leo's in Brazil, Chris and I are in Florida, Alonzo's over there in Texas, and Chal's in Texas. We're spread out. around the world, just like our students are.
All right, now it's time for the questions from the chat box.
Yeah.
So
You know,
this one is-
I know when, because you and Abigail, I know she's proud of you. So I definitely know she probably has some cool questions for you as well.
I know Abigail's got questions. Abigail's so amazing. I think,
Yeah.
months ago before I had the staff, I used to call her, hey, you want a job? How about this week? You want a job? Abigail is exceptional,
is
and she's
on
going to
point.
change the world when she
Yeah.
figures out exactly what she wants to do.
Okay, so the first question is from Bad Weather Freak. How many hours a day did you put into the program? And
Oh,
you don't
my.
have to answer that on a daily basis. Whatever measurement you use to measure your study, use that.
So for me, I wasn't working. I think that's very important. And that's a great question. I'd say about 3 to 4 hours. If I go to my live classes, maybe an hour or two, because I've just got a daily dose of Mike. The most would be 5 hours. If I'm doing a 5 hour day, that is because I don't understand something. I'm writing a paper. There were some times where he had a lecture and he had a lot of information where I was just able to yeah, great. So 3 to 4 on average, Monday through Friday. Weekends obviously are for myself.
See, that's important. You have to,
Yes,
if you are doing daily, you have to. There's got to be a stop somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're doing it
Yes.
daily. I'm glad
It'll
that you
burn out.
Yeah, you got just give your mental acumen a time to digest what the knowledge is, so you can apply it.
Yeah, and I'm also glad that you said 3 to 4 hours, because there is only so much that the brain can
Yeah.
literally take. And I'm sure Mike has some insight into that, but we might go down rabbit hole. We might go down rabbit holes.
Look, he's chomping at the bit. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, in my youth, I'd go read 1,000 pages a day and memorize it. Now, in my old age, now that I get 3,000 to 5,000 emails days and text messages days, I don't even answer my phone. I can't even get to it. The team has to do it for me and tell me who I need to call back, which are the most critical messages, because that's life. Now, I've realized you just can't work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 20 years straight. It will take a toll. So you do have to do it, and you have to pace it. We all learn at different paces, and that's why we give people lots and lots of time. Somebody can do 6 hours a day, somebody can do 2. Doesn't matter.
It does not.
All right. Sorry, I clicked. My finger slipped there. I apologize. So our next question is from Raj. He says, "How did you prepare for the associate and professional exams? What resources did you use, timeline, etc., for your exams?"
So I started off, the biggest things that I would say, the associate book that Mike created. I watched that, the boot camp. I probably watched about 2 to 3 boot camps, so seasons, what you would call it, for the associate and the professional. I believe the book was the associate. I read that one, and the professional was the boot camp, because I don't think he does an associate boot camp. But besides that, I remember reaching out to Mike. Me personally, I don't really recommend people do it, but I, wasn't working, cheap budget. I used a bunch of practice questions from, I don't even want to say, but let's just say that there are lots of practice questions that are out there, and that is, to me, that is the key for me passing. I'm not someone where you can just give me a book, read it, pass. I can't do that. I need to actually learn it, and in order for me to learn it, I have to get the answer wrong. That's how I learn. If I get it wrong, I know, because I can backtrack where my logic starts and why did I get it wrong. Because I know I'm not dumb. My logic wants to get the right answer, and I think people need to cut themselves some slack. You're trying to get the right answer. Don't be upset if you keep getting the wrong answer. That's good. because you're getting feedback. That means you're getting actual data so that you know this is what I don't know. This is why I don't know it. And this is how they're going to ask me these questions on the test. So
But
just
and
any practice test you can find.
let's take a shift. Any practice test you can find, we'll take a step back. When it comes to actual knowledge, though, pertinent knowledge, Daniel knows how it works. When you're dealing with nonsense knowledge, the kind of knowledge on a test is basically useless garbage, then it helps to use a practice test. But he knows how to optimize BGP. He knows how to subnet and supernet. He knows his job. These certifications, in my mind, are like, here, they create what's called the illusion of competency or fake competency. They help somebody say, hey, there's a chance, like a 0.3% chance that a person knows something, so maybe let's interview them. That's all certifications do. Then you get the interview, and if you're certified, it's like, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. Come back when you have experience. Come back when you have experience means you don't know anything. By comparison, if you've got knowledge, you get hired. So we're talking about how to get hired, which is what Daniel did now, not the mistakes he did, what he told you. That I had to take you and make you unlearn it and forget it all, right?
And it was a process.
From scratch after the fact, and you took our course and then you were successful.
So then the next question is from Al about the interview process. Were all of your interviews done virtually?
Yes, all of them were virtual. Expect anywhere from 3 to 5, depending on the company, but every single one was virtual.
All right. And I'm scrolling through. I got my timestamps. I got to find them. So this one might be more for Mike, but I'll put it up there for everybody. So King Leo asks, for someone starting with no background in tech and wants to be cloud hired, what study materials would you guys suggest?
King Leo, I'll give you 2 options. I'm going to suggest that the simplest thing to do is to take our Cloud Architect Career Development one, either the live one or the non-live one. It has everything else you need, and it will cost you about $150 at this list of code on your own. If you're not with us, here's what I recommend you do. I recommend you learn BGP in depth, interior gateway protocols such as OSPF in depth, IP subnetting, supernetting, route summarization, route aggregation, WAN technology such as IPsec tunnels, SSL-based VPNs, private lines, software-defined networking, and SASE, switching technology such as VLANs, VLAN tagging, VLAN trunking, spanning tree, rapid spanning tree, ARP, proxy, ARP, DNS, DHCP on the networking side, NAT, and all the use cases. That's about 10,000 pages of reading if you're not with us. But you can learn it. You can get that all free from Cisco. If you're not with us next, you need to learn servers and server virtualization. And you can get that from VMware, KVM, and QEMU and Citrix for about 1,000 pages of reading it. You need to know containers and container orchestration. And guess what? You can, if you're not with us, it's in our course. But if you're not with us, you can get it from Docker, Kubernetes, and VMware. And then you need to know storage area and network. So with us, it's covered in our program. But if not, read a few thousand pages on block storage, object storage, and file storage. And you can get that information readily available from IBM as well as Dell EMC. Then you need to know databases, which means you can do some reading at MongoDB, Apache Cassandra, MySQL, Postgres, Oracle, Microsoft. Again, a few thousand pages of reading, and you'll know how to architect these kind of things. Next, load balancers. You need to understand load balancers and load balancer architecture. So if we're with us, it's covered. But if you're not with us, go back to F5 and learn about load balancers, DNS, and all those other things. Then you need to know next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators, etc. So again, we teach that, but if you're not with us, a couple of thousand pages of reading from Cisco, Palo Alto, Fortinet, and Checkpoint will get you there. Now, that's just the tech skills. Now, that's just how it works. Now, you still have to learn how to design it. So make sure you take some architecture training, which teaches you how to put the pieces together, or else take our course. Then you have to understand that this is not an engineering job. You have to design, present, and sell, and you're going to be designing things that are upwards of $1 billion, and you're going to have to present to the CEO. So this means you need the following. You need to have some executive presence training, which is about $10,000 if you're not with us, some emotional intelligence training, and that's going to be $3,000 to $5,000 for the week, and you're going to need some of it. You're going to need some CXO relevancy training. I had about $25,000 worth of it. It's expensive training, but you need it for this job. You're going to need some leadership training. I don't care whether you get it from us. We train it, get it in an MBA, or get it from leadership training. You're going to have it. Now, there's sales training, and we're not selling cars here. We're selling billion-dollar architecture. So you have to learn how to do an ROI model, respond to an RFI, RFP, RFQ, deliver a presentation. Now, we're also going to be presenting at industry conferences. It's normal for architects to be in magazines or be on TV, so you're going to need special media training for that. Now, we also negotiate business deals constantly, so you're going to need some negotiation training. We provide that. So those are the things that we train. You can do them on your own and still get a cloud architect job, but we're going to do it about 1/50th of the cost that it would cost you to do it on your own. I don't need to work. This is a passion project of mine. I hire the best team, and that's why I need to charge to hire the team and have quality so that all our students can do well. That's what I would suggest. I'd suggest ours because it's better, faster, and cheaper. But if you're not with us now, you know how to do it.
That's a great answer. I couldn't have put it any better myself.
It's
Me neither.
specific, but it's exactly what we do.
All right.
And the great
So
thing is we have quantitative and qualitative to back it up.
You're speaking way above my head at this
But
point.
also, generally speaking, it's
Too
good.
late for those words.
You also need to show you have some experience. You're going to have to do some projects and brand yourself. Now, we give our students servers. Our students work with server virtualization, build containers, firewalls, VPN concentrators, etc. Our students even build their own clouds from scratch. So our students can show that our people are experts versus everybody else's, which are amateurs. So if you're with us, good. If you're not, go buy a server. It's about $2,000. You need a Xeon server, at least 16 cores, 128 gigs RAM, the 3 SSD drives. Used to be about $1,500, but it's now about $2,000 due to inflation. And build your own cloud and do these kind of labs on it, and then show the world you've got experience.
Right. So our next question is, can I think of this career in my 40s, or is it too late?
40s are the optimal time in your career. There's a video we produced on age.
Yep,
Now,
I
it's
shared it.
much harder for me to get somebody hired if you're 21 because they want to see some wisdom. They want to see some gray hairs. If you have them, hold the better. So no, 40 and 50 is much easier. But when you're young like Daniel, we know how to play the game. We play to the energy, enthusiasm, passion, and the ability to learn more. When we're dealing with somebody that's older, we deal with our wisdom and experience from life and the leadership skills we've learned. Doesn't matter. We can win at either age.
All right, and let's see. I got smart this time. I actually kept a notepad with timestamps over here, so it's easier for me to find. Yeah. Except there's a lot of comments. Oh, here we go. From Cruz. Should someone with an admin background go for the engineering or the architect program?
What do you want to do with your life, Cruz? Here you got Daniel. His first tech job is an architect. He has no experience in tech whatsoever. I used to practice internal medicine, and my first job was network engineering as a senior engineer because that's what I like. So, Cruz, I ask you, what do you like to do? Do you want to design, present, and sell? If so, you should go for the architect program. We'll get you there. Or do you want to build, code, and configure? If so, do the engineering program. But what you desire to do is based upon what you desire to do. What you ate yesterday for dinner is your past. It has no bearing on your future. Maybe somebody ate bad for the last 6 years and they need to go on a diet. So what? The diet starts today. Maybe there's somebody like me that eats good all the time, but decided to take my wife out and ordered 3 orders of fajitas and ate most of them and had 2 glasses of wine, and I don't drink and felt icky the next day. I woke up, I did yoga, I jumped in the sauna for 90 minutes. It's a new day. Do follow your dreams. That's what you should do.
Yeah, Daniel, what were you doing? What was your role immediately preceding this? What was your most immediate employment before this?
As in what I was where I was working before this role?
Yeah, before your cloud architect job.
I was working at Nordstrom, and you could just, I guess, a sales advisor or a fulfillment person.
Fulfillment
It's
specialist.
a nice location, but just a retail worker. That's what I
Okay,
want.
so working at Nordstrom, you're left with retail, right? Those are your only options because of your experience. You don't have the opportunity to work at a bank as a cloud architect, right?
Oh my!
I'm just saying it's your previous experience doesn't define what
Not at all.
Well,
now here's the thing. Daniel now knows retail a little bit, right? So now Daniel can architect solutions for the retail industry that knows it better than me that's never worked in retail. Exactly. So his past experience is helpful from a business content.
Yeah.
Just like my past experience in medicine is helpful from a healthcare architecture. It doesn't have to be in tech. It's usually better if it's not.
Yeah. So that's I just trying to do a comparative analysis there with the background in admin. Should I do this or this? Well, my background's in retail. Should I do this or this?
Romanik Ivan Tamba, hired by AWS. Right. His last job was serving food.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So our next question is about the program. So we say that our program is on average 16 weeks. And is that enough for someone who is new to IT?
Oh, yeah.
Probably not. So we like to say that it's about 16 weeks for people that have a background in tech and about 8 months or so for people that don't have a background in tech. Like I've had some people get through faster. I had a Richard Afukar who was in my program for 3 weeks before he was hired by AWS. I had a Delroy Bat that was hired as a security lead within, 3 weeks in my program. But I don't like to make unreasonable expectations. This is a job that pays, $120,000 to $300,000 or $400,000 in its career. Our students graduate for the most part, between $100,000 and $300,000 opening salaries that they're getting for these jobs based upon their life experience, executive presence, whether or not they worked in tech or industry. I can't do that in 16 weeks for most. Now, if I had a network engineer, sure. A data center engineer, sure. But, we say whatever it takes. And if you're in our program for 16 weeks, 32 weeks, or 49 weeks, we give you a full year in the program. And we don't take the content away afterwards. Because here's our concern. You got to get cloud hired. There's no point in passing a certification and just sitting on the sideline unemployable. Our concerns are that you're hired. So we give you the time. Let you stay in the program until you're hired or you're here. That's how we get such good success rates. We all learn at different paces and we don't care. We just want you hired.
It's definitely not 16 weeks is definitely not enough if you do spend 3 months trying to figure it out on your own.
Mm-hmm. And that's the saddest thing. Yeah. I've got a student and a friend.
Yeah.
His name
do
is
it right, not do it again.
Because my subscription's up. They say, you don't have a subscription. You had a payment plan. You had 3 payments. You're with us until the end. And he's like, really? And I said, of course. Yeah. I said, the point is to get cloud hired. It's not a subscription.
Right. It's not a pipeline either.
No. So we've had a couple of people ask about which program Daniel enrolled in. So Daniel enrolled in the Cloud Architect Career Development Program Plus.
The live version.
Live version. So his program is included all content, including live classes. So if there's anyone out there asking that's curious about that, I'm going to put the link directly to the page in the chat box.
Put that link there. Also add that 30% off coupon code potential that we're running right now so everybody can reach the max potential. I know it's only going on for a little bit longer, but please pop it there.
I'm going to put this link in here. Leo, can you put the discount in there? I don't have the discount readily available, so I'll get Leo to put that in there. All right. So our next question is from someone that we're familiar with, if I can find it here, and it's a good question. I just have to find it. They came in really fast. Here we go. Miss Lamb Jammin asks, Daniel, what helped you take your self-discipline to the next level?
Nice question.
Excellent, Miss Lamb Jammin.
Oh my, that's a really great question. Kind of going back to me realizing what I wanted in life, um, I'm already not very patient. And me reaching out to Mike saying, I was one of those students that wanted to get it done in 16 weeks and telling Mike, I need to get it done fast. I need to get it done fast. And he's telling me, you've got to slow down because some people go to school for 4 years, become a lawyer or a doctor, 12 years, and you're going to be going to school for 8 months. So, but it's not, what I had to understand is it's not 8 months of playtime. You're not playing these 8 months, or you can't go hard one week and then the next week you're just like you're taking time away from you moving forward. And once I realized after passing those certifications that I didn't really have any knowledge, I felt really kind of ashamed at one point because it took a lot of self-discipline for me to study. I like listening to anime music. Okay. So the music, I'm playing it, and when I mean practice questions, I bought like two, three, four of them, and each of them got like 150 to 200 questions. And I'm preparing myself. Okay, on Monday I'm going to get through 150 questions. So that means this hour I have to get through 30, and then take a break, and then get through 60. That takes discipline because when I got there, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I hate these questions. It's the paragraph long questions, and they're all paragraph long questions. I hate this. And it took me so much self discipline just to pass those two tests to realize I know nothing. I felt, at the lowest I've ever been. I'm not like this usually. I don't usually have the discipline. And I had to realize just when I was taking those tests, I told myself, right before the professional, I passed the associate, so I could pass the professional. I had that self discipline. I did it, so it means I could do it again. And once I realized that I did it, I have what it takes. And although it wasn't all that I needed to go further, to push the throttle. I realized I have to double down on it. Self discipline to the max. Like I said, I wasn't working, and anything Mike told me, he told me come to every single class, do every single assignment, make sure you get that paper done, no matter how many the revisions. And I took that self discipline and applied it to this is what I want. And I told myself if I don't do the work, I'm not going to get anything. If I don't do the work, they're going to ask me too many questions. If I don't take the self discipline to do this now, I'm going to spend so much time later. So really understanding that the only thing stopping you is you. You have, no matter how hard it is to maintain discipline or get started, you have to get started and you have to stick with it. Every day that you're like, I don't want to do this, I'm getting burnout. That's another thing I would really love to say. Don't be someone who thinks you're going to do this 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You're going to burn out and you're going to almost just quit. And it's not because you don't like what you're doing, but you're burning yourself out. That's going to the top. So make sure that you take this discipline, the self-discipline journey, and understand that you're doing it so that you can get from point A to point B. And you're doing it to get there the fastest way possible. Because, if you don't, when you get there, you're just going to have more obstacles. So
I like that.
Hope that is some help.
Get there as fast as possible before something stops you along the way, because it will. Excellent advice, Daniel. 21 years old. This is why he's a cloud architect. He's a solution provider. You can see it. He's already guiding people to live better lives at 21. Yeah. Let's bring in the next one. I'm just so proud of you, Daniel. I wish you're exactly the kind of son I would want if I had a child, in every way, shape, or form. In every way. I've seen a few people like this in my life, but you're exactly what I wish I had. So, it says a lot about you.
All right. So Miss Slam and Jammin follows up strongly again. Daniel, what was your favorite thing to see improve within yourself as it relates to developing CXO presence?
Nice. He's coming with the questions, man.
Yeah, she's coming strong.
Oh my, a little pressure. These questions are a little harder than what I've gotten so far. Okay. Favorite thing to see improve within myself. For me, the best thing, I've had a life where I guess people told me I couldn't do it, or you trying to do that is out of your reach or out of your league. And I got used to, I guess, staying in my bubble. I got used to just, stay in your bubble. Don't hang with those people because those people think you're weird. Don't do that because if you do that, you're weird. And what I realized as I kept going through this journey, and those thoughts came. You can't pass that certification in 3 weeks. There's no way you could do that. Do you know how many other people are over here studying? Who do you think you are, Mr. 20-year-old, gonna go and do this in three weeks? And from the moment I told myself, what I did pick up from my boot camp was you do need to make goals. You need to make plans. You need to write them down. And when I wrote them down and realized, I already passed these tests, or I can study enough to pass a test. And no matter how hard the test is and how quickly I'm going to get this information, I can do it. After I passed the first one, just seeing what I put down come to fruition, it was amazing, because it told me I'm the only person that is my enemy. I'm the only one stopping me. God's not stopping me. The society isn't stopping me. Government isn't stopping me. Recession isn't stopping me. COVID isn't stopping me. Nobody's stopping me. Me. I had to pass the test. And after that, going from, I planned the next test, and in my head I'm thinking I want to do this as fast as possible. I scheduled it for a month ahead. A week in, and I'm saying to myself, you know what? I can do better than this. I'm already gonna fall asleep. I'm going to reschedule this for 2 weeks. So just 2 weeks total, 2.5 weeks max that I've spent studying. And I tell myself, are you sure about this? You're gonna do even less time than what you did for the other exam, and you're just gonna pass? And I told myself, I'm gonna pass. I took that discipline to study and answer those questions and get them wrong and hit myself in the head. And when that time came, I passed. So going through this journey, seeing that when I put my mind to something and saying I can do it, nobody's going to tell me I can't do it. That was the best thing to see, because I had proof. No one was telling me you could succeed. I was telling myself I can succeed. And seeing that nothing can stop me now. I feel like I could do anything.
Let me just get back to the icing and cake thing. So people that know me know I follow the paleo diet, but I know lots of people that love cake, right? So you were talking about an exam, and what I view the exam is the icing on the cake that gets you an interview and does nothing else for you. Now, where do people go wrong? They get certified, they get all this icing, but they have no cake. And nobody wants to buy icing except for the baker that's making the cake. So it's all about Daniel had to get all the cake. It's the cake that gets you hired. The icing just makes it look good. But a truly good cake from people that actually eat cake and sugar and flour that I know tell me tastes good even without the icing. So can't have a cake without the icing. You can have the cake without the icing, but you can't have the icing without the cake. So Chris, I'll go back to you. I just love seeing the way Daniel's handling it.
I'm gonna tell Miss Layman Shaman she's got to stop coming with the questions, because I got to go to bed at some point.
I think she came pre-prepared.
Yeah, she came prepared, but I also came prepared to go to bed at some point. So let's get to Abigail.
I was gonna say, the second half of the question regarding CXO presence. The one thing I would say is, as Mike was teaching me what the difference was between a CEO and a CTO and a CIO, and I could actually visualize why certain people talking the way they're talking to this C-level executive isn't going to work. Being able to see myself pick up on that gave me more. I feel more confident in being able to just talk to regular people. I could talk to this person. I could talk to that person. I could talk to this person, because once you identify, it sounds funny. Almost everyone's a business in my eyes. Every person's a business. Once you understand that person and you understand the business, you can talk to them. You can speak the language. So seeing myself being able to understand the language of CXO, having that presence is just amazing. And you can't get that by reading a book, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's right. I want to honor some people right now that are here. I know right now there's people in India. I know there's people right now in Cameroon. I know there's people in Nigeria and Cape Town right now. I know there's people all over certain time zone where it's literally the middle of the night. So thank you for being here. We hope to make sure that we give you everything we can to help you build the best lives and career. So just a shout out to all you amazing folks that are staying up late for us. We honor you here.
Thank
We're
you.
privileged to have you here. We're going to run a little late tonight because there's lots of questions, and I want to make sure we help everybody get what they need.
All right, so here we come from Abigail. Daniel, first off, you rock. Congrats again. You have been very open about the hard lessons you've learned. Thank you. What advice do you have for myself and anyone who needs clear direction? I got a follow up to this too, so don't give it all away.
Okay. Okay. For anyone who needs clear direction. Okay. So kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about knowing what you want. And also understanding that not only does everyone in this community want the same thing, they all have different paths to get there. Saying that this person's going to have a clear path by doing ABC and this person's also going to have a clear path by doing ABC, well, people define clear differently. And that's why I want to very, very quickly say that you are truly the person who defines if you have a clear direction. You, just like everyone has a different social security number, everyone has a different speed and a different direction. I came from retail, and I may have had to come at it from the left angle to come up over here, and someone else may have come from a networking background, and all they got to do is a horizontal. That's their direction. So the key, though, that I believe is what's common is we all know from a retail person, a server, an IT guy, or even the president, if that's what they want one thing, and that's this job. Once they all pinpoint and change their destination towards this job, now it's all of a matter of from where you are to getting there, and understanding every day you're getting closer. You're getting closer. And what you need to do is make sure you stay. Like I said, I'm a sprinter. So if you have your direction, I want to get there as fast as possible. Anything that will take time to learn that is not required will drag you back. Python, anything. You like blockchain, so by all means go into that, because you can take that and obviously the blockchain I can't even imagine, but getting into blockchain as far as your architecture is different than going and being a sysops person. It's different. And once you figure out what specialty or what direction you want to go forward and strive towards, you need to take as many steps as possible running in that direction. I don't care if you're blind. I don't care if you don't know where you're going. I don't care if you fall and you're like, I want to give up. As long as you get up and you don't give up, you keep running and you keep going and keep going. All that matters is that you have a destination you agreed on. Doesn't matter if you get there in a straight line, a zigzag, you turn around, do a loop, you go up, down. As long as you're going to keep going straight, you're going to keep going to where that direction you have decided is.
And then what I'd like to say is when you're not exactly sure, and Abigail, you're truly amazing. You brought so much to our community. We love you, and we love your cat, Noni. And every one of us here will say that. So, there's certain things that work in any environment. Executive presence is useful for all careers. Sales skills, useful for all careers. Leadership skills, useful for all careers. I like to call that general career preparedness. The military calls it general physical preparedness. And they basically have people do things that will prepare them for both unknown and unknowable circumstances. So keep focusing on all those general preparedness things that can build your career, any tech career. And when you figure it out, we're going to do everything we can to help you build that perfect plan for you, because you're going to be here too once you figure out exactly the tech career you want. And you got a lot of gifts to share. You've been a veteran serving your country. You've done so many things. So thank you for your service as well, Abigail. Okay, here's a great question. I think Chris was talking to a mute button, so
Yeah. So, what was the most difficult part of your journey as far as shifting your mindset? I know we both can be stubborn, so help me out.
Okay. Most difficult. One second.
oh, that internet didn't sound so good. Okay, Daniel, I think you're muted.
Yeah, he's talking to someone off screen.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm like, okay, did we lose thing? Hand of God, yes, I agree. Peace to the military.
Hello?
People. Hand of God, are you
Yep.
Greek if I remember correctly?
All right, he's back.
Yeah, I'm back. So shifting my mindset. To me, the most difficult part was actually believing that I could do it. I didn't. When I say Mike believed in me more than I believed in myself, it was. I still couldn't believe it. You just met me, and you're saying that I can be a cloud architect. Believing in myself was not an instant process. It wasn't over weeks, even over months. No matter, even when I passed the certification exams, I felt a little good about myself, but believing in myself to the point where I could go to an interview and they're going to listen to me, a 21-year-old me, um, that was definitely the most difficult part, because what I realized is when you don't believe in yourself, you actually just created another obstacle, because your brain again cannot process no. So you're not believing in yourself. You just told yourself you don't believe in yourself. So by doing that, now you're just slowing down how fast you can run. And by believing in, if I was believing in myself since day one, I probably would have been hired April. But I'm not here to reminisce on that. What I do want to say is believing in yourself is like putting on, I don't know, it's like putting on speed shoes or flying shoes. Once you put them on, doesn't matter which direction you're going, you're gonna fly straight over there. But if you don't have them on, it's like you're using your own muscles and your own willpower, and you can only get there. You can only get so far by doing that. So that was definitely the most difficult part of my journey, believing in myself.
So we got another question from Angela. They're coming at you hard
They're
today.
coming at you hard today, but that's okay. You're a champion here.
So, but I mean, these are important questions because these questions are actually coming from people that are in the program. So I'm glad
these are real questions that most people face.
That's why we wanted you on here, and I know that's why you wanted to come on here, was because you wanted to be able to give these answers. So Angelo asked, "How do you stay motivated when the road ahead seems difficult?"
For me, like I told you guys, I came from a retail background. I dropped out of high school. I didn't think, and it wasn't for, oh, I don't like school. But I very quickly thought that I can't make six figures. Like, walking around school, they're telling me you have to do this, do that. And I'm just telling myself, if this is what I have to do, I can't do this. I honestly just can't. I'm smart, but I can't do this. I can't sit in a classroom and bubble in things all day in the name of I'm learning. So I'm saying that because I have already started off thinking I couldn't make six figures. It was impossible, not gonna happen. So coming in here, when Mike's telling me, he's trying to slap some sense into me, like, yes, you can, shaking me, yes, you can. For me, I don't want to sound like that was the only reason, but seeing that shiny object at the end, no one's ever said I could get a shiny object. I was told shiny objects are bad. I'm told shiny objects are work of evil. Money makes you evil, and all these things, blah, 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 blah. And the constant thought of me being 21, young, people they were dying to be in my position. The constant motivation of knowing that I can do it, it's possible. The worst that could happen is I'm extended for a long period of time and not getting hired. But the key to my motivation was honestly seeing that there was a way out for me. You know, for me, I was, you know, I love music and whatnot, but as far as sustainable income and looking at other options, I didn't like anything else. I don't want to be a plumber. I don't want to be a mechanic. I don't want to do any of these things. So when I was thinking to myself before the program, is there anything on this planet that I could sit down and really just do? Is there anything I could do and make a lot of money and just like, is that too much to ask for? Is that like evil? Something like that? And once I found this position, I instantly knew it was real. And I had to have my hands on it. So to answer your question, there are going to be a lot of hard times. And what I would tell my former self is that these hard times are great, because that means your reward is real. Your reward is great and big, and it's waiting for you. If you didn't have to do these things, I guarantee you, by the time you get to the other side, things would be different. By going through these hardships and these hard roads, you actually remember these things. And when you remember them, you take them where you work, and understand the harder it gets, the better the reward has to be. You've seen me here. I'm not a made up person, because I think I'm real. So I'm not made up. And if I could do that, there's only thing holding you back. If it's motivation that's holding you back, then you've created another obstacle. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to be motivated. Trust me, our job is actually to go into a room and motivate people. Like, what? And Angelo, between me and you, I have no worries about you. You are exceptional. If I had you on my team, we'd be selling millions. And it's amazing that you're asking this question. So
I think it's funny that you brought that up.
I think you're dealing with another Angelo, actually.
I think.
Okay, not the Angelo I'm thinking about. It's okay. We can make millions too, this Angelo.
It doesn't matter. It's all. You pointed out something, that it's all mental. The questions that you've been getting, the answer is yourself.
Yes.
In some way, shape, or form, the answer is yourself. And the question is, how did you solve it? And the answer is yourself. I oversimplify it, but
yeah, some people.
So like I've got two more that I'm about to put up from Mick B. We talked discipline. What role and how has determination impacted your journey thus far? I would, based off of everything that you've talked about tonight, I would say determination
is more important than motivation.
Determination is what got you where you are.
Yeah. If I had to pick between, like I said, in my opinion, motivation is obviously necessary, but determination is more powerful than motivation, because determination means I'm not giving anybody and myself an excuse. I don't care if just like with Mike, his body could be telling him, I can't do this. I can't do this. It's not my fault. I can't do this. Mike's mental is saying, no, I don't care if you're saying I can't do this. I'm determined to get you to do this. Determination. The people just motivating Mike, oh, you could do it. Gambare, you can do it. That can only go so far. But when you're determined, especially in the medical field, miracles happen. So determination, I would say, in fact, don't even sign up for this program if you're not determined. I'm honestly going to say that. I'm not a salesperson. So if you're not determined, you see, hey, I want to be a cloud architect. I don't care if it takes me a year, 2 years. I'm determined. If you don't have that energy, I highly this isn't for you. You're not going to be a cloud architect. You could do something else that doesn't require that much determination, because something like this is high reward, but you need to be determined. If you're not determined and you don't have discipline to study, you can be determined, but see, what determination brings is the will to do anything else that it requires. So when you're determined to be cloud hired, and you're not good at discipline, since you're determined to be cloud hired, but you know you need discipline, you're going to go and get yourself some discipline. So by far, determination is the most powerful tool in my journey, and it opens the doors to anything else you need.
Discipline is the key. I'm going to add to this. Most people don't know it. I've alluded to people to it. Every morning when I wake up, I can't use my left hand or left foot for about an hour or so. First thing that I do is work every joint through its full range of motion. Then I manage to struggle to get down the stairs. Then I enter a room which is 130 degrees. I'm not joking. It's 130 degrees. I've got 2 special sauna heaters in there. And I go through a yoga routine that gets my joints okay. I then jump in a 160-degree sauna for 45 minutes until I'm nauseous. And then when I'm done, I start my work day. That's what it takes for me to be able to sit in this chair, and I do that twice during the day if necessary. I don't talk about it a lot, and yeah, I got left a little twitch after that accident too, which, you know, is part of my life and part of my rehab, but that's exactly how hard I have to work just to do this, every presentation just to do it. So Daniel, I'm so proud of you for having this motivation. That's why you will never stop, and you'll be wildly successful.
Yeah, and think about this, because you had the determination, Daniel, you are the beginnings of generational wealth.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you realize what you're doing? It doesn't just stop with you, because if you decide to have children, or even if you want to move on to teach this to other people, think about what you're changing. You are starting something that is going to continue on long after you're gone. Like the saying says, the old man plants a tree of which he knows he will never enjoy the shade of. And that's what you're doing. And that's awesome.
Yeah, and to talk about just a little bit more on the generational wealth thing. So I'm a product of generational wealth personally, but 4 generations ago, my great grandfather literally collected pine cones and pine seeds and sold them to the timber company in town to make money. And the next generation, they turned that into a chicken farm. And then the next generation turned that into a service station in town. And they were the best service station, gas station, auto service station in town. And then the next generation, they had their own timber company. That 4 generations went from collecting the seeds to sell to the timber company to being the timber company in 4 generations. You just went, and you said the words earlier yourself, homeless, to a cloud architect at JP Morgan Chase. So I'm not asking you to say anything on that. I'm just going to let that sit out there while I bring in the next question.
It's called dropping the mic, Chris.
That is what that is. So imagine what the future will be able to do. So
it's amazing.
Moving on. Let's see here. Where is it? So Raj asked, I understand you did not have experience, but want to know, as part of your education, are you exposed to IT, like computer science undergraduate program?
So no. There's some people I've met in the tech industry that have gotten their computer science degree, or said that you need a computer science degree to get basic IT knowledge. I disagree vehemently. I don't have a degree. I don't have a diploma. All I have are those certifications and the knowledge that I've gotten. And when I'm reading this, even though I had, so I passed the Security Plus certification, for anyone wondering, before I got here. That was all I had. CompTIA Security Plus, which quite frankly it's very entry level, but you I don't know what the goal of this question is to answer, but you don't need a degree. In fact, I would stay away from a degree as far as possible, unless you would think about a master's in business, something like that. But other than that, stay far away from any type of undergraduate program, computer science program, any program. Um, all you need is this program. You need to click the link for this program if you want to be a cloud architect. And if you have no experience, see, the thing is, if you have experience or you're older, you could actually, I would argue, you may be able to get by without, especially a professional certification like me. The only problem with no experience is you basically just you have 2 seconds for them to look at your resume and determine, do they want to talk to you. And if you have no experience, it's easy for them to say, well, I don't see much experience, but I see certification. And this is someone who has no idea what technology is, really. They see, oh, I see certification. So at least let's talk to him. Versus, no experience, and it just looks like you're fishing for a job that you can't, that's out of your league. So hope that answers your question. Stay away from any undergraduate programs. You're making your time longer.
And I want to make this very clear, because somebody asked the TOGAF question. You don't need any certifications to be a cloud architect. The certifications help Daniel get an interview. Certifications help you get an interview. Daniel's telling you that without a college degree, he got hired as a cloud architect. Now, he was certified before he had interviews. Nobody would interview him because nobody wanted to. He used the certification. We taught him the right skills. With the right skills, he knew how to put the right resume together, and he had people reaching out to them. So there's that. People come to me, what about a degree? My degrees are in healthcare. And they help me much more. I actually prefer business degrees. Here's why I don't like computer science degrees. They teach coding. What do architects do? Design, present, and sell. So an MBA, a business degree, is very helpful for the architect. Not so much for these tech degrees. Now, it's good to have generic guidance and experience, sure, but it's nothing related to what we're doing. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind.
So Juice asked a good question here. What key advice from Mike changed your trajectory?
Oh my, there's quite a lot of advice Mike gave me. One thing that Mike and my father really, to this day, I'm 21. Asking a 21-year-old to be patient is asking a toddler to be patient. Patience is by far one of the greatest pieces of advice. He's like a father to me when he really broke it down and told me, I'm trying to sprint so fast that I guess my legs are gonna come off. You don't need to sprint that fast. We need to make sure by the time you get there that you're prepared, you're good to go, you're set. And we can't do that if you're running at full speed and you're missing things along the way. So patience, one. For two, like Mike says, he hates hearing I can't. So when I'm telling him I can't do this, or he sends me back my paper 6 times saying, you're gonna revise this again, and I'm just looking at my computer like, I just spent hours looking at the documentation and you're telling me I have to do it again? And by far, out of anything he's taught me, that paper taught me so much more than he could teach me, because it taught me people are going to be counting on me to read the documentation from all these different vendors. They're going to count on me to not only read it and understand it, but be able to transcribe it in a way where if I give them this documentation, they're not running around scrambling, trying to figure out how to understand it. And that takes someone being able to read and collect all this information and compile it, and also understand, just because you've done that, you may have to do a lot of revisions, because for whatever reason, maybe they're giving it to this specific team and they don't like the way this was written. Or maybe you have to do it this way because they're going to give it to these people. Whatever it takes, he taught me that no matter how many times you get it sent back, no matter how many times you feel like you've done all this work and you're getting nothing in return, that's not true. What you're doing is you're strengthening all the soft skills and all your other skills, so that when you talk about technology, when you communicate, when people look at you and see your brand, they don't question you about your age or do you know technology. You're breathing technology. They know you've been. How many people make blogs? It was one thing that Yvonne really told me to do. There's so many people that have the professional certification, no blog, nothing. Don't do any writing. Like I said, if you were to if Mike wasn't here and you went and did the certifications on your own, that's what would happen. You do the certifications and you never write a blog because no one told you had to. No one said that this is the job of an architect. Certifications didn't tell you. So by far, patience, understanding the real qualities of the job, and third, believing in yourself. You can't quit. Believing in yourself means you're not going to quit. If you don't believe in yourself, you're going to quit. And without Mike constantly telling me, believe in yourself, you could do it. You're 21. I know you're scared. You could do it. I'm not going to sit here. It's like the best way to say it is if Mike told Chris, hey, I want you to come join my company, and Chris is like, but I know nothing about technology. And Mike's saying, but I want you to join my company. What you need to understand is Mike is not going to hire someone to make him lose money. Mike isn't going to say, hey, I want someone to help me lose money. Let me go hire Chris. No. He sees something in Chris that he didn't see, and he knows he can do it. All he needs to just get him here. So Mike taught me that through that, by believing in myself, having him believe in me, that you could do anything. Don't hold yourself back. And it got people to notice me. It changed the way I spoke. It changed the way how I looked at things. So that's what changed my trajectory.
All right. So got a question from Mike here, and we'll bring it in. Before we answer this next question, I just want to make sure we don't have any hard stops, do we?
I'm going to run late because the audience, as long as Daniel can, because, I want people to hear Daniel's story. 21 years old. I want everyone around the world to know anything is possible if they put their mind to it.
Yep. I'm asking Daniel if he has a hard stop.
That's what I was asking everybody else.
Oh, not at the moment. I'm fine. Let's go.
Okay. All right, good. Because I was going to say if we did, then Mike doesn't get a question. We go to our next Daniel question.
Exactly.
All right. So, Mike, what is your advice on getting the AWS cert? And I'll say any cert first, or focusing on the program?
I think you need the cake before you worry about the icing. So if you know BGP and you know all the things, then passing the certification's silly. You want to know how easy it is, Collins? I'll give you an example. The hardest exam in cloud computing is the Google Professional Cloud Architect. I wanted to prove to my co-author, Nathan, that I could pass the Google Professional Cloud Architect exam, which is a cloud I never touched in my life. It was the only cloud I never touched. And I could do it with 2 days preparation without any touching of the Google Cloud by reading a simple Cybex book. And I did it. I read the book on a Saturday and Sunday and took the exam on Monday, and it was nothing. So Collins, there's an opportunity cost of your time. If you waste 4 months doing stupid certifications, 4 months later, I have to start you from the beginning and you're not getting hired. Or you do our training, and while you're in our training, you waste about 15 minutes a day doing some questions and answers, and you spend the rest of your time learning how to become a great cloud architect. In the end of that program, you'll be cloud hired. So focus on the job, become a cloud architect. Don't waste your time on nonsense. 15 minutes a day and nonsense is enough. Remember, nobody hires you on a cert. Nobody cares about the cert. We use the cert to help you get an interview. You get hired based upon the knowledge, communication skills, executive presence, attitude, energy, enthusiasm. So it's kind of like one of those annoying things you just do during the day while you're in the program to get it over with.
Any thoughts on that one, Elonzo?
All right, Daniel.
No, go ahead, Daniel, please.
All I was going to say is I'm glad he mentioned that, because looking back as someone who did the hiatus and came back, I would, like I said, the one thing anyone needs is just practice questions. And kind of based on what he said, you're learning I don't want to say you're learning. Yeah, you're learning nonsense. You don't need to go and learn in depth about how to pass this exam. All you really need to do is learn the right answer, right? That's how I thought about it. All I need to do is get the right answer. If I pass by 1 point, you pass by a point. So why I'm saying this is it's better for you to stick with his program, but I understand you need the certification. What I will say is, like he said, 15 to even 30 minutes maximum on practice questions. No courses, just questions, literal questions will serve you far, far, far. And once you get that certification, you're you're ready to get interviewed probably a month, 2 months from then. Versus you know what? I'm gonna put Mike on the back burner. Let me go do this. You're gonna have to relearn this stuff. So you can pick on relearning the stuff, and if that's what you're comfortable with, then you wasted your time and spent more money. I mean, spent more, yeah, of your opportunity doing that. Your choice. But if you kind of want to, you understand you need the certification, you don't want to push it back, but you want to be able to stay in the program. My best advice would be to take those practice questions, set your time, 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day, and knock them out. Your goal is not to get as many right as possible, is to understand why you got them wrong and
Yep.
how they're gonna ask it to you, because that's all they're doing. They're just trying to ask you it in a specific way, and all you gotta just figure it out. You figure it out, then once you go to take the exam, nothing's going to sidestep you. You're gonna be perfectly fine for it. So
And
please,
here's the
please
reason.
do that.
Just to be clear, what you're saying is not just 15 to 30 minutes of preparation for the knowledge, but 15 to 30 minutes of prep a day for the cert, not the knowledge.
Correct.
You got to get the
correct.
knowledge the way that we present it.
Correct.
And then
There you
you get the icing from the practice exam.
And here's why it matters. You're going to go to the customer. They're going to say, we have $32 billion of sales, and we're trying to increase our run rate by 11%. We've heard this could be done with a new website. We also have an error defect rate of this. What communications, collaborations, technology can we use? Oh, by the way, we have 40,000 remote locations. And here we've got a certification. Here's the name of a bucket and how to configure it. You don't configure anything, and you can't use those silly names. So that's why we have to focus on the job skills versus the irrelevant nonsense, which is what's in the certifications.
Any thoughts, Elonzo, before we move to the next question?
I totally agree. One of the mistakes that I made early on was trying to learn the concepts in the testing, which was the totally wrong thing to do. So I'll be the first one to say, I failed the test. I failed it. And then I realized, I'm like, okay, am I here to learn this stuff, or am I here to pass the exam? And once I passed the exam, do I really know it, or this is just a certification I can just put under my belt? And that's where the aha moment went for me, where I was like, this is just certification. I need to understand how I can apply this in a job. So went through, and everybody knows this, I went through YouTube. I'm just looking. I'm like, okay, somebody's got to know this. And I've gone through certain training organizations out there that more or less I asked certain questions about them, and they pretty much left me in they couldn't answer any of my questions. I'll leave it at that. So I found Mike, and it's the rest is history. I understood the concepts. I understood the services, the architecture strategies, the architectural patterns, understanding everything. Mike demystified everything that I thought I knew, reading hundreds, if not thousands of pages of white papers based on what I was told I had to do. So where Daniel has gone, what Daniel had to go through, I had to bang my head to. Age has no bearing on being stubborn or feeling that you have to do X, Y, and Z to succeed. I got tired of it. So I listened to Mike, focused on what I needed to learn. I have been successful, to say the least, and being able to work with Mike. It's figuring out, looking at Daniel and seeing the success, understanding his story, there's other ways to get paid, if you will. There's other ways in being able to see the success here, being able to help and support and helping other people learn the cloud and understanding about what cloud hired means, not only for myself, but seeing the look on Daniel's faces, seeing the look of pride and success. And
Yes.
it's kind of like enlightenment, like I did it. And not only did I do it, but I went through the paces. I took the program seriously. It's not about going and blowing through it, but understanding those concepts and saying, boom, I got that aha moment and being able to get cloud hired. And the updates that we get on a daily, weekly basis is, hey, Mike, hey, Elonzo, hey, Chris, anybody, I got cloud hired. And it gets me hyped. And anybody knows I can be a little animated at times, but it's that success, it's that excitement that when you all get cloud hired and when you all, even if you're not cloud hired yet, but it was a certain individual, I don't remember.
Yep, I knew exactly where you were going.
You already know, Chris.
We got what he's talking about is like, we had a student that sent a message to every single person on our team. A group message, and it wasn't anything about other than it wasn't a cloud hired or a cloud promoted, but they got into a circle. Like they got they got from the outside being told, no, you can't take part in these things. You know, you don't have the requisite skill sets, blah, 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 blah. To now, all of a sudden, they're coming to him and saying,
they're looking at him differently.
Yeah. And hey, can you take part in this? Can you give input on this? And without going into too many specifics about the individual, that one was actually more exciting than a cloud hired, just because I was like, I hadn't gotten feedback from somebody about that specific situation because we all know that if you are currently working in an IT role that is not a cloud architect role, how difficult it can be for you to get on the inside, for you to get involved. And so for someone that's in that in a more technical position to come to us and say, hey, now I'm on the inside.
Yes.
That was very exciting. And I'm assuming that's where you were going, Elonzo.
Spot on.
Yeah.
That's how we work together, is that I know what we know what we're thinking. And it's like when we heard that and we saw, or rather read the excitement.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it was like the enlightenment again. It almost feels metaphysical in a way. It's like when you get it and you start understanding how you can apply these concepts when you show up for school, for the classes, when you're doing your homework, when you're involved in the community. It's not like we're just saying it as a mantra. It works. And I keep saying it, the program works if you do. Put in the work, put in the time. Go ahead, Chris.
When I saw that, because it was a long multi.
I read it all, yeah.
I read it all. Like I was at dinner, so I couldn't read it because my wife and I are big about phones not on the table. Like phones are away. So I didn't read it. I couldn't read it. I read it, and the immediate thing that came to my mind was leverage.
Yes. Because
that individual, even if they do want to stay where they are now in a position where they're wanted, they're desired in their current organization. So
they just branded themselves in front of the whole community
overnight. And if there's a layoff, they're not part of it.
Right.
They're the wanted. Here's your new job as the cloud architect. Here, taking the gap.
Yes.
So now that individual is a butterfly. That they just transformed.
Yes.
And so now, and it maybe not this week, or next month, or later this year, they're in a position either to advance in that organization, or if Mike shared his experience. If that organization says no, we can't. We can't move you out of where you are. Well, now, boom, I'm out of here. I'm a butterfly.
And you know
Flap
what?
my wings.
And the best example is that, say for instance, can you see Mark Hamill playing anything other than Luke Skywalker?
Right.
No. You pigeonhole yourself, even though it's
Yes.
successful, but he can't be an action star. He can't be in a romance. He can't be in any of that because you know him as Luke Skywalker, bar none. But when you're able to diversify the way that gentleman did in saying, I can do so much more. This is what I've learned from the community, and this is what I run from Go Cloud Careers. Totally changed the game, and he flipped it on them, and so now they're like, wow.
Yeah, he went from being Mark Hamill to being Harrison Ford. He can be
now
he's Han Solo, Indiana Jones, whatever.
He can do whatever he wants.
And the key is, if you look like a duck, walk like a duck, and talk like a duck, chances you are like a duck. Now, I love cats, I love dogs, and I love birds. But if you fly and you chirp, you're going to be treated like a bird.
Yeah.
If you meow and jump 6 feet tall and catch little lizards and frogs all day long, you're probably a cat. And, people if they want a cat, they get a cat. Look, I love cats. I like dogs. I got a cat. My wife wanted a cat, and I wanted a cat, and I love my cat, Cindy. But I didn't get a golden retriever on my way to get the cat because it was cool. I was set out to buy a cat, so I got a cat. I love golden retrievers. Now, one day I'm probably going to get one, but we buy or hire what we're looking for. Chris, I know you got lots of questions.
Yeah, sorry, we went down a rabbit hole.
And it wasn't me this time.
Yeah, no, it wasn't you, but it was just exciting because we always talk about cloud hired and cloud promoted, but now we got a new one, cloud transformed. Wait, what does the cloud architect do? They transform. Okay. All right. I just had a whole moment. All right. But seriously. So Mick asks Daniel, and for the sake of time, you can give one or you can give 2 or 3 major challenges did you encounter on your journey that seemed like failures, but you look at them now and appreciate going through the challenges?
Well, one being when I sent my paper in so many times, I'm someone that self punishes, self crucify. I do that. So something I do that is wrong or doesn't succeed, I just give myself a good knock on the head, and I see it as a failure because I didn't get the yes. So after going through that, I love the fact that, because if he told me, even if I did all the work and I had a perfect paper, if I gave him the perfect paper the first time and he said, oh, perfect paper, you don't need to do anything, here you go, I would not be able to understand why I'm writing the paper. I wouldn't understand why I'm learning it. I wouldn't understand and think back on all the different skills I needed to use in order to persevere and finish this paper. So that was one major challenge. The second major challenge was when I passed my certifications. I came back and started applying, feeling my certification fever, and nobody wanted to talk to me. Maybe got one interview here or there, but nobody wanted. And I'm applying to 100. I can apply to 100 jobs in a day, easy. In about 30 minutes, 100 jobs applied to, 200 jobs. I'm applying like crazy. They don't even want to talk to me. I saw that as a failure because I just spent 2 months. Away from the program to do this, and now I fail. I don't have anything except certifications. So I'm proud of it though, because one thing I will say is the executive architect, although she didn't ask me technical questions, one thing that I asked her what stood out about my particular application was the fact that she saw that I had my certifications very close together. For her, it wasn't I have the certification, it was you were able to pass and attain these in such a short amount of time. that I have no worries about you being able to pick up this or being able to pick up that, because I can visually see you're a fast learner and you're going to pick it up. And I'm proud that I did that, because if I didn't do that and tell myself, although I failed by, doing these certifications and I didn't get cloud hired right away, those experiences, me doing that, me doing it in the fashion that I did, got me points. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But
And if you had none of
other
these
than that,
certifications, Daniels, and we just hooked you up with an interview, you think you still would have been hired?
did you say that one more time?
You had 0 certifications, and I called JP Morgan Chase's recruiter and said, here, I got this guy Daniel I'd like you to speak to, and you had 0 certifications, like half of our students that get hired. Do you think they would have hired you anyway?
If I was with you,
if you had an interview,
I would say that only if I was in the program with Mike, and after I've been in the program, he said, I have someone for you. 100%. 100%. The certifications, like we've been saying, get you an interview. But she was so happy to know that an architect, I was training under an architect. And like I was saying, her biggest concern was, can I contribute? And all my certifications did was just prove I can learn fast. That's it. And gave me some points. But if I wasn't under Mike's wing, they wouldn't trust me enough to be anywhere near their team, because I wouldn't know what I'm doing, and they don't have time to try to teach me. So,
but they cared, could you learn? So I remember the first guy I ever hired, I call him Avi. He's an Israeli guy. His name's not Avi, but here's what I remember. He wanted to apply for a network engineering position. I asked him a networking question. He knew nothing. And he was honest about it. He's like, Mike, I don't really know networking. I know Windows. And I'm like, okay, it's a network engineer. Tell me how to subnet this. And he didn't know. Tell me about this OSPF thing he didn't know. And I said, what do you know? I don't care what it is. He said, Windows NT. He talked to me about domain controllers and permissions. I was like, God, this guy's smart. He just doesn't know networking. So I hired him. I went to my manager and said, I'm going to hire him. This guy became so wildly successful, no experience. He's now the CEO of a company that sells Chromebooks to developing nations. He brings computers to people that never would have had it. He had a 17-year history as a network engineer before he became the CEO and a business leader, because somebody hired him because they saw good in him. So let's focus on the knowledge. That's why they hired you. Let's go to the next one.
All right. So Sakai asked, what for you was the toughest obstacle you had to overcome in this journey?
One, obviously believing in yourself, but honestly, seeing other people on LinkedIn succeeding at a rate faster than I was, I crucify myself a lot. If I can't run the 200 meter in 22 seconds, I'm hitting myself in the head, and I'm chopping my legs off. I can't do that. But when it comes to a career, when it comes to your life, this isn't a game. It's real. So when I see people succeeding, it actually I don't want to say discourages me, but it just kind of stings me the wrong way. Like, wow, I'm still doing all this work. In fact, Jawad, when we were in the program, we got in the program around similar times. So he's a perfect example. I'm seeing Jawad pass his exam. I'm seeing Jawad, he's participating. Jawad, he's amazing. And I'm comparing myself to him, like, he can't leave me behind. He can't leave me in the dust, and seeing him get hired, seeing Yvonne get hired, it inspired me, but at the same time, it also put doubt in me, because it was just like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me that you can't hire me now? Why can't I be hired now? So I had to, Jawad, he's like a big brother to me, and he answers this better than myself. You have to stop comparing yourself to other people. You must. You cannot compare yourself to this person and say, well, Mike's a professional in networking. maybe I one day want to be better or do networking. You're not supposed to be like Mike or
No.
Mike. Mike is
Be
Mike.
you.
You need to be you. So understanding that, honestly, I think is the toughest. It's not the tech. It's understanding you have to be your architect, not Mike's architect, Daniel's architect, Abigail's architect. You need to be your architect. And once you figure that out, it takes some time. It's easier said than done, but you'll be the best architect ever. The best ever, because no one can be you. And if they try to be you, that kind of gives you more confidence to know that you are something that people want to be like. So overcome that. Don't compare yourself to other people.
Play to your game, Zakai. We all have special strengths. I like to call them speaker powers. I like to get in front of a crowd with no moments and give a speech. That's been good for my career. It's just what I was comfortable with. But that worked for me. Somebody else would prepare 10 times more and would deliver a more professional thing. That worked for her. Doesn't matter. Play your game. Play to your game. What do you like best? What do you do best? What do you know best? Win.
Yep. So Joshua asked, did you apply for this role or were you contacted by a recruiter? You don't, and if you don't want to give the specifics of your interview path, you don't have to. We can skip it if you want.
No. So for me, I applied directly. Now, I love recruiters, but let me tell you, that brings a great thing. So one, there are bad recruiters. And two, as I'm applying, I'm seeing a lot of positions where I call them all in one. So like, in retail, there'll be a position where they want you to be the supervisor, then they want you to go ahead and be the sales advisor, then they want you to go over here and be the janitor, and then they want you to go be the manager. Before you know it, you've got 10 jobs, all in one jobs. I'm going through all the all the positions that are open, and I see a lot of them saying cloud architect, solution architect, and all of these jobs coming from this way, that way, over there. And I had to tell myself, because I've worked in a location or for a company that they wanted you to do other people's jobs, and it was terrible. The culture is terrible. They're basically, I don't want to say broke, but that's the reason that's the reason they want you to do everyone's job, and it's taxing. And I'm saying this because some people may be applying and some people may use recruiters. There's no right or wrong way. Personally, recruiters are better if you have good ones, especially. But if you have a bunch of bad recruiters, I honestly would rather just go apply and play over there. But you have to be careful because there's a lot of jobs that you're going to see. We need you to be a DevOps engineer and a SysOps engineer and a cloud engineer, and then we need you to be the manager of IT, and then before you know it, we need you to go and be a server. What does being a server have to? No. We need you to be a server and then do that over there, and we're going to pay you half of what those architects over there that are doing only architecture. We're going to pay you half because we care about you. You need to stay away. You need to stay away from those positions when you apply. Make sure when you apply, you read the description and kind of like what Mike said. This position that I applied for said you need a bachelor's degree or something preferred. So I'm looking through the requirements, and if you can tell yourself, out of 10 requirements, I can meet at least 7 of them. I can hit them out of the park. There's no question why I can't. You need to apply for that job. Even if a job says Python somewhere, I'm not saying that's, like I said, you don't need to learn Python, but sometimes they add things there that's not necessary. They're not going to ask you a Python question. They're not going to ask you none of that stuff. It's almost like a filter to scare other people away. So when you're applying,
they will ask you if you put it on your resume.
Yeah, if you put it on your resume, they're going to ask it.
if you put I've done Python and whatnot, they're going to ask you about it. Don't put it on there. And if you can meet at least, I would say 70 to 90% of the requirements, apply. Just because it says you need a bachelor's degree or bachelor's, That's what my physician said, and know that I don't have any of those things. She asked me, I told her I don't have one. I didn't even say I'm trying to get another one or learn one. Maybe if I'm a CTO, she doesn't care. Doesn't care about a degree. So using a recruiter, as long as it's a good one, a good recruiter is someone that you reach out to, they respond within that day, preferably within 2 days, and they don't just give you. There's a lot of recruiters that'll just send you a job or send you something. Those I kind of don't. I stay away from those recruiters because they are just flooding everybody with the same message. You want a recruiter that you know works at Slalom or whatever company, and you can tell them what you've been doing, your experience, and they'll actually want to call you. They'll want to work with you. They'll want to make sure that you have the best placement. So whichever way you go, just be careful. Just be
And
careful.
someone just asked a question, we have to address it. The question is, what certifications do you get in the program? And we have to address it because here's the thing. If you had no certifications and got hired, that's a successful outcome if you're working as a cloud architect. If you have 1,000 certifications and you don't get hired or you're not hireable, what good is it? So we teach people how to become cloud architects, how to design, which is what architect does, the networking, the data center, how to present, how to sell, how to lead, how to respond to RFIs, RFPs, RFQs, how to be a cloud architect. And that's what people learn how to do this. They learn how to do the job and they get hired. Sure, they get an AWS certified solution architect professional or an Azure solution architect expert. That's nothing. You can do that in 3 days. That's nothing. That's all available. All that certification is available on our YouTube channel, completely free. We're talking about getting people hired here, which is training the job, which is a totally different situation.
So Angelo asked, how much of an influence and impact did your family, friends, mentors, or parents have on your journey?
Great question. As far as I know, friends. One thing I would say about friends that I think a lot of people need to hear is the friends you have before you join this program. A lot of them, once you go through the program and you take it seriously, a lot of them will not agree or resonate with who you are now. And some people will have to battle. Some people will think they are being a fake friend or whatever by cutting them off or not really conversating with them. Whatever is dead weight in your life, you need to cut it. I say that because I personally don't have friends as of yet. As far as the community, I have friends in the community, but outside friends have no impact. I'm home all day. Family. Family, I've heard, could go both ways. Family was supportive, but sometimes family members can instill doubt, and they don't mean to, by saying, you've been doing this for a while. Are you going to what's next? Sometimes you take a certification. My parents paid for it, so that was a big influence because that was their money to me. I didn't want to spend it again, so it had some influence on making sure that discipline was executed. And if I was paying for it, maybe it wouldn't have been as serious. Let's just say that. But as long as your family members don't instill doubts, because you've been in this program for 6 months. Didn't you say it would take 6 to 8 months to get? And family members may do that because they're worried, don't believe in you, whatever it may be. I think the biggest impact that you can have is you have on yourself, because sadly, some people may not believe in you. And if you let that get to you because you don't have family or friends or people to believe in you, because they can't see what you see, you're going to let that stop. So, but not everyone is like me. Some people have very supportive families. I just want people to know that regardless if you have family, friends, or parents or not that support you, don't let them hinder you. Don't let them make you doubt yourself or try to hurry it up. Make sure that you're doing whatever you're doing to create an impact for yourself, and know that you're the one who's feeling what you're feeling. You're the one who's going to get hired, and you're the one who's going to take that experience and teach somebody else, not them. So keeping that in mind, I think will serve you really well on your journey.
All right. So guess who's back with another hard hitter?
Yeah.
Simon Jane is back. Daniel, how did you learn to nurture yourself through the feelings of shame? And I think she used that word because you used it earlier at one point, I think, of not going fast enough.
Mhm.
She understands that feeling. I assume it's just she says miss, but focused on the overcoming of it. Because this is something that a lot of people can relate to because they're not patient, and so it's yourself that's saying I'm not doing it fast enough. And so that's a good one. How were you able to handle that?
Well, part of it was understanding what the feeling of shame, why I was feeling it. There could be a lot of reasons why you feel shame, but at the end of the day, I understand that it may sound weird, but me shaming myself, saying I can't do it fast enough, it's not. It's almost like you have to understand it as your brain or yourself. You're trying to tell yourself, you're trying to tell yourself that um you can do it in a way by shaming yourself. Shaming, not all shame is good, but shaming can sometimes, like if let's say you procrastinate on this project and then you feel shame because now people depend on you, you don't have it, and you just feel shame. Now, when you understand why you feel that shame, you can take that, and I believe you can tackle that. Otherwise, you're just going to run in circles. Um, but I nurtured it by understanding that the reason why I was feeling shame was because I was comparing myself to other people. And once I realized the shame is not trying to hold me back, but it is. The shame is actually trying to encourage, because shame can be used to light a fire under you, to say, you know what, I can't do that again. I'm feeling very awful about that. I need to do better for myself. But using it in the wrong way will start spiraling negative thoughts, and you'll hinder yourself. So in order to nurture it, I would say, one, understand why you're feeling that feeling of shame. Two, understand that that feeling of shame is more of a way. It's I don't want to say lack of motivation, but you want it. You want to succeed, and that's the reason you're feeling shame, because you're like, I want this, and I'm not getting it fast enough. What do I need to do to get this faster? Don't use that feeling to speed it up. What you need to do is use that feeling to understand, hey, what I'm doing is not wrong. For me going at this speed is not wrong. I'm not like this person, and I understand this feeling is a way to motivate me to go harder, to go to not faster, but go harder, and create a stronger impact. So understand that, and understand you're gonna overcome it. You're not gonna be feeling this forever, and over time you will slowly see that you're racing your own marathon. So the shame that you have, or that you encounter, will go away, and it will turn into pride. And you got to be very careful now, because now you're shame. Now you got pride now. So got to keep the pride balanced and humble, and you'll be perfect. You'll be fine. You'll be all right.
Perfect answer.
I think a lot of people can resonate with what you're talking about.
Yeah, we all get sidetracked from time to time, have to get back to things. It's okay.
Yep. So the next question, before we get to the next question, I think we need to address Frank's question.
Yeah, we
Frank
can address
seems to
that.
be confused between what we train, and I think it boils down to, we don't train you to get a certification. We train you to actually do a job?
Yeah, so let's answer that. So a certification is the name of a service and how to configure that service. Cloud architects don't configure any service, ever. We design, present, and sell. So what happens is people go and they get a certification and another certification and another certification. And then they go on interviews and they don't know anything because they only know the name of a service and how to configure it. Imagine training a doctor. Here's a yellow pill, a blue pill, and an orange pill. Here's your pills. Here's the dosages. No, we're not going to teach you how to diagnose. We're just going to teach you the pills. That's certification. Name of a service and how they configure it. Guess what? We can't use half of those certifications. We've got to go ask the customer about their 50,000 remote locations, their wide area network, their BGP, their interior gateway protocols, their IP addressing scheme, their petabytes of storage that they have, the 3 databases they're using, the machine learning they're using, their streaming data that they're using. And guess what? We got to design something to go solve a business problem. And that's not covered in certification. So we teach that job so that you don't do 10 certifications and 3 years later, like the rest of everybody, not get hired. Half of our students got certified. They weren't hireable. Heck, one of our students actually took one of the certifications that had a Slack channel and sent messages to the person that ran the Slack channel and said, I can't get hired. What can you do? And the person paused their notifications because they couldn't help them. That's why we do what we do, to rescue people from the garbage certification training that's out there. That's why our certification training is free.
I don't think. I wish we had a better way to get the point across. The certification. So Frank asked, paying $9.99 per training on how to get hired. So what about getting certifications in labs? Certifications in labs are not going to get you a cloud architect job.
No, at all. Or a cloud engineer job, or not even a cloud admin job. But if you want certifications in labs, they're available completely free on our YouTube channel. You can do them. And then when you're done doing them, Frank, about a year from now, and you want to get hired, we can train you the actual job, how to design, how to be an architect, how to present, how to sell. We're happy to do it.
Leah, will you put the link for the, I know you just put the link for the boot camp in the chat box, but can you put the link for the webinar on Thursday? I think that would be actually be very helpful for Frank and anyone that might have questions like Frank does. Yeah. Because sometimes it's difficult for us to have a one-way conversation and get the point across.
And it's true.
And if you join us on Thursday, you'll actually be able to talk with us off mute and be able to talk and ask us questions.
And then you'll learn the difference. If your goal is a super junior level career where you just configure stuff, certification will teach you the name of the service and how to configure it. Architects don't configure, architects design. So you can't train by going to kindergarten and expecting an MBA job. We teach the MBA job how to do all of it. So join us completely for free.
Yeah, Frank, I'm sorry. We're not actually trying to sell you right now.
At all. So we're not trying to do it all.
And that's why we're doing a poor job, because we're not trying to sell you.
We're not trying to sell you. We're trying to tell you how to get a job.
We literally let Frank over here, not Frank, we let Daniel over here tell people not to enroll if they didn't have determination.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
yeah.
And we're not trying to sell right now. We try to sell on our webinar on Thursday, if you want to. But right now we're trying to share Daniel's
certifications that get you the job.
Yeah.
See, my thing is, when I first saw Mike's How to Get Cloud Hired webinar, I'm thinking, if this is about sales, you can make a lot of money, and you're just a free YouTube webinar hours. This isn't like a 1 hour, 3 hours standing there asking questions. Doesn't sound like someone who was selling to me. In fact, the reason why I came to Mike was because he wasn't selling me. He wasn't selling me on the program, anything. He just said, you want to be a cloud architect? I know how you could be a cloud architect. You need to do these things. He didn't say link to my course and then sign up. He said, you need to do these things. Now, these are things you need to do. Now, if you want a faster track, I have a program that you can enroll in. And if you have any questions about this program or what I do in the program, I have a YouTube webinar to answer those questions. And to me, it breaks my heart to see this, because Mike, to me, in my honest opinion, is selling this program too cheap. Okay, way too cheap. For me, I understand when I create something legendary. I'm sorry, I'm not making it cheap. Okay, I'm not making it cheap. But he's giving you the executive skills, all of the sales skills, designing skills. He will walk you through architectures, end-to-end systems, telling you why you need this specific technology, why you don't need this specific technology in this situation. Things that you can't go call up an architect and ask him these questions. And the fact that he had made a program out of his heart, he didn't have to do this. People don't understand, like, he doesn't need to do this. He could go retire, live his life,
I was
mind
retired.
his business, and no, in fact, this is why I can't be a teacher, honestly. So much patience. He decides to come here, answer the same question 10 times, 15 times, 50 times, almost no expression on his face that he's irritated. And I'm just, this is sales. This must be the most stressful sales job ever. Ever. I wouldn't want this. This isn't fun.
Yeah.
So anyone thinking we're trying to sell something, this is the wrong
I'm
place.
not a certification provider trying to sell garbage
Yeah,
certifications where you finish them and you're not hireable.
Yeah,
Well,
they're not
everybody
going to teach you how. They'll teach you about the services, but they won't teach you how you're going to use them in a real world environment. So you lay those certifications out in front of the hiring manager, and they're
You're gonna laugh.
put a target on your back, and they're going to laugh.
All right.
So-
So
They're gonna laugh. How many people? I know. Granted, everybody gets an Azure Solution Architect expert or a Google Professional Cloud Architect or a CCNA in our program, but that's child's play. I mean, you could do that in a weekend, is what I'm trying to say. That's not what goes into our 500 hours of training. And that, if you want it, it's free on our YouTube channel, completely free.
Separate
Why don't I
training,
make it free
separate.
and separate on the YouTube channel? Because guess what? I don't want you buying that stuff. I want you knowing what it takes to get hired. I'm not trying to sell courses. If I was trying to do that, I would be charging $50,000, which the course is worth.
And
So
no one, and I'll
run
tell
out.
you, yeah.
all right.
I wouldn't run ads for my free content.
I'm gonna wrangle us in. Yeah. So a couple of
We're
points.
not going to sell you, Frank. It's not our goal. If you don't want to be part of our, if you don't want to train with us, we don't want you to train with us. We want people that want cloud architect jobs. You want us to sell you? That's not my job. I'm the CEO of a company. I get people cloud hired. I'm not here to sell you into being a student. If you want to be a student, we'd love to train you. If you want us to sell you, we're not going to do that. I need people like Daniel that are motivated to win, that fight to win. They get hired, and that's what I care about. So there's that.
All right, I'm back. Everybody miss me? All right, can you hear me?
Oh my.
All right, so moving on. He brings up a very important thing. He asks, Frank, and this is the last thing that we're going to acknowledge from that before we move on. He asked, we don't need certifications to get hired. So all I'm going to say to that question is, we can't give a single one answer for all 7.5 billion people in the world. We cannot tell you that you have to have ABC to get hired, and it be the same answer for every single person. So anyone that says that you have to have this to get hired,
exactly,
should not be listened to.
Should not be listened to. Daniel, you have no degrees. I have degrees in medicine, and all of our students are getting hired with certifications, without certifications. So that's your field. That's what we want to focus on. Cloud hired. Let's get back to the content and help people that want to be helped.
There's no blanket solutions.
None for everybody.
It's your solution for you, so we can't answer that question. You're more than welcome to join our webinar on Thursday.
Yes. And
so Bad Weather Freak asks, he says, well, first of all, he says he loved the BGP section. And he says, I got to get back up here to it. Where'd it go? It was a good question.
BGP is great. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't find it, but he asked you, oh, here it is. So I think it's important that you remember you stopped doing the program for a while. So how long did it take you to finish the program when you actually did the program?
Just counting program time, about 7 months. Around 7 months. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
And you have no tech experience.
Correct. No tech experience at all.
Okay.
And it took you 10 months because you did certifications, and we had to spend 3 months making you forget it so we could teach you the job.
All right. So let's see what else we got here. And so they follow up with, is your role going to be a remote role or will it be an in-person role? Or
In person. There's a lot of positions that are remote. Me personally, I actually came to love this position for it not being remote. But due to what's going on now, you'll find a lot of positions that mainly do on-site. They will do partially remote or fully remote. I have to go in person, so I'm lucky.
Oh.
And the reality is, in a lot of these roles, you're going to have to travel or be on site because you're going to design, present, and sell, and you're going to have to meet people and talk to people.
And Hand of God asked a question. So this week's Thursday webinar session will be at 9 a.m. on Thursday.
That's 9 a.m. Eastern. I think he's in the UK, so that's 2 p.m. UK time. Note, I didn't say GMT because of daylight savings time. Thank you for your service, Hand of God, for what you did in the British military.
And Devesh asked, world needs more cloud engineers or more cloud architects?
I can definitely answer this question. Yes, both. But what I will say is I'm going to say cloud architects. The reason I'm going to say cloud architects is because me personally, I know a lot of people are smart. A lot of people are smart, intelligent, and engineers are intelligently and they're very smart. And if you're smart, then you know passing a test or learning things is not too difficult. So I'm not saying the barrier to entry is low, but what I am going to say is that for people that don't want to, there's a lot of people that I don't say antisocial, but they just don't want to talk to people. So the engineer role just fits with them much more. But what happens is, since a lot of people are kind of like that, a lot of people want to be engineers rather than architects, which is great for two reasons. One, I don't want to scare anybody, but so everyone wants to be an engineer. All I'm gonna say is that times can be tough. Some engineers may have to, go somewhere else because they can outsource it. Why am I saying that? Obviously, if you're a great engineer, you won't be outsourced. But you can't really outsource a cloud architect at all. You can't do that. You can't get someone from India and pay him 50 and then get them to design, present, and sell. The Americans, I will say, we're the ones who do this. So design, presenting, and sell, you need a person. You need a physical person, not only that is in the States, but is able to travel, has their everything in order. And you can't just at the pick of a button go outsource that. That's one. And two, a lot of people see being cloud architects is hard, way too hard. It's harder than being an engineer. They run away. They don't want to be anything around cloud architect. It's too hard. So there's actually way less people even interested in being a cloud architect than being a cloud engineer. So in my eyes, we need more cloud architects, because the more cloud architects we have, the more we can lead these new cloud engineers, the more value we can provide to these businesses and speed up the progression of the future. We need a lot of architects. We need them to run every business, every single one.
And the critical key is we need close. We need the architects for digital transformation services, make the business perform better through technology. We need those cloud engineers to build it. There's a certain set of truth about getting in bad economies and recessions. Individuals that are in pre-sales role, like the architect, or individuals that are in roles that save the company money, get hired in bad economic times, like engineers. And our reality is engineering positions can be outsourced. And what's the key of outsourcing? It's hard to outsource the architect that's in New York City that needs to go to London, San Jose, because they got to travel in person. Now, the engineering roles, it doesn't matter whether you're in Cambodia or Cameroon. It doesn't matter. And that's so engineering roles can be outsourced to the global talent pool, which is a boom for people across the world. But it's going to be a struggle and a challenge if the economy gets challenging to the people in the first and the England and the US, the Canada. If this economy gets worse, people will like to outsource. Now, magical engineers that also have business expertise and leadership expertise and sales skills, communication skills, executive presence, they're needed and they're not going anywhere. I don't know how much more time we have, Chris, but we can do a few.
Y'all said y'all were going all night long. So,
so where do I see the solution architect field within the possible recession? The solution architect field is the place to go. So we're getting into, we've had extreme inflation. We've had over 13% in the last 2 years. The consumer price index, the producer price index, it is getting scary out there. So what do companies need? More cloud architects. What do cloud architects do? They identify opportunities for companies to save money. They come up with offshoring strategies where we can replace less expensive people in lower countries. Cloud architects come up with automation things that they can do. They come up with new technologies that enable employers to work less. They come up with communication strategies to get the expensive engineering jobs off to the Middle East, to Africa, to India, to places where you've got lots of smart people that may cost less. So in a bad time, your money goes to the people that sell, the people that bring money into the company, like the architects, and the people that save people money. Architects, automation, engineering, that kind of stuff. That's where you want to be. Someplace where you're saving businesses money, selling and are a revenue source, or are cutting down costs.
all right. So I feel like we need to put a expectation of ending.
Me too.
So we will only answer the questions that are in right now. So any questions that come in after this moment, unless it's the Hail Mary of Hail Marys, like perfect question, we will
How
not.
many questions do we have left, Chris? Because I know I'm good for about 5.
I think it's about 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So give me a second. Well, this one is a short one. Well, I'll look for the next one.
Teach the cloud.
Ranty, is the training on AWS or Azure? You're interested in AWS? We train the cloud.
The cloud.
All customers at this point, 87% use 2 or more clouds. 97% want to use it by the end, 2 clouds by the end of the year. If you only know Azure or only know AWS, consider yourself to be unemployable. We teach the cloud. So I teach you what tech the cloud uses. I will even make you design and build your own cloud from scratch. And of course, you can do the AWS, the Azure, but in every class we design across multiple clouds. No cloud architect can only know a single cloud. We have to train you on all. So we train you on AWS, Azure, OpenStack, Google, because that's the reality of the job. So we train you all the clouds. And here's the thing. You could learn how to drive a Honda and then take a special course to learn how to drive a Mercedes. And if you do it the silly certification way, this is an elastic compute cloud instance. It's a virtual machine. And you go to Google Compute Engine instance, you're lost. But if you build a virtual machine, and it's an Azure virtual machine, an Oracle virtual machine, a KVM virtual machine, a QEMU virtual machine, a VMware ASXi, and AWS EC2 instance, Google Compute Engine instance, it's the same tech. So we're going to teach you the cloud so you can work on all clouds, including AWS.
That's another thing that when I was coming into this field, I didn't understand. Multi-cloud sounded too complicated. Keep me away. I don't want to do it. But understanding multi-cloud and being able to articulate that in an interview, they can see that knowledge you have in your head when you communicate these things, because someone that's scared of these things are not going to say hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. That's just human nature. You're not going to say anything that you don't know. But if you're confidently talking about multi-cloud, oh yeah, I know that. I know all about that. All we're doing is replacing these terms. They're the same exact type of technology. We're just picking to use it from this cloud, this cloud, this cloud. They're all the same. They're all one cloud. Without the network, you don't even have a cloud. They don't communicate. There's nothing. You don't have a computer. We don't have StreamYard without the network. So, um, he said it perfectly. AWS, I never see it as the cloud. It is a cloud. And there's Azure. There's so many different clouds. All you got to do, he teaches it to you. So way better than I can. So don't think of AWS as the cloud. It's a cloud.
So we've got 2 questions left, and they're both for Daniel.
Good.
So
Go ahead.
Questions he
So
taught.
this one you've already answered, but I just want to make sure we address it again. It's just asked a different way. How many hours a day were needed for you to do this in 7 months? I think earlier you said 3 to 4 hours a day was your average.
Yeah, and I'll add that so 3 to 4 hours a day without weekends included, and not on a day that Mike gives a live lecture. I'm gonna be honest. If he gives a live lecture, maximum you'll catch me is 1 hour looking at other content. And that's because, like I say, you need to get burned out.
His lives are dense.
Very.
Yeah.
So even so 5 days out the week, more like 4 to 5 days out the week, sometimes even 3. It's not like, oh, I missed a day. I'm no. But understanding that you learn at your pace, you're taking the knowledge in, and you're not burning out is the most important thing. You could love swimming all day, every day, but you can burn yourself out doing it and not like swimming anymore. So that's what I would tell you.
I did that by swimming 2-3 miles a day every day for a couple of years straight. Got bored of it.
All right. And so our last question for you, Daniel. What role did your inner voice play in getting you here now?
Inner voice. Interesting. The only inner voice in my head, like I said, was it's extreme, but like I say, I watch I don't want to say a lot, but anime. Okay, I like it, and to see that, because sometimes when you look outside, you see people are too scared to go accomplish their dreams. So sometimes you see a cartoon do it. My inner voice was simple. My inner voice was saying, I'm gonna be a cloud architect, die trying. Get rich or die trying. I'm gonna be a cloud architect, solution architect. That was the inner voice in my head. It's been saying that the whole time. The whole time it's fueled my determination. It fueled my discipline. Without that little inner voice saying, I'm gonna do this or leave this planet, it gave me all the energy and fire to know I'm not going anywhere. And when I got here, now that inner voice is telling me, you're going to be a CTO. You're going to be a CTO. So, yeah, just make sure you understand your inner voice as something to remind you of what you're doing and why it's important.
All right.
I really do. I love that.
So that's it. We're done.
So, give a hand for Daniel. Give him a hashtag cloud hired, a hashtag cloud architect. 21 years old, fielded 3.5 hours of questions. No preparation. This is the job of an architect. Joins us 3 minutes before we're working on a cell phone, and you can see what a professional executive he is. He's got the leadership, the skills, the executive presence. He came to us and he got hired. He knows what a cloud architect does. He knows how to become a cloud architect. He did lots of cloud architect interview training. He did lots of cloud architect career training. He didn't focus on just a cloud architect job description. He has solution architect job skills and cloud architect job skills. And that's why he got hired. He's not a cloud architect, no experience. He's a great cloud architect. And that's why he's got his cloud architect job. He's taken a cloud architect course. And you can all do it too. So whatever you do, believe in yourself. It all starts with a dream. You take the dream and you build the plan. You execute on that plan and you follow that plan. And when that plan gets tough, and it'll get tough, you keep going. When an obstacle comes your way, adapt, improvise, overcome, obliterate it. Realize the only easy day was the one that's passed, but you can do it and you can get there and you can see. So everybody, congratulations. Give a hashtag cloud hire to Daniel. Give him a hashtag cloud architect. If you want to train, we'd love to train you, but that's up to you. We want to work with people that want to become cloud architects and get cloud hired. We currently have a 30% off discount. Chris will pop it along with that. Come join us on Thursday for the free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar, and we will cover step by step everything you need to learn, either with us or on your own, so you know how to do it in either case. Join us for the boot camp tomorrow. We're going to do more free Azure training. In case you missed it, you can catch up on the 3-hour boot camp from yesterday and then catch up tomorrow. It's going to be great. So I hope you all had a wonderful time today.
And you've got a YouTube Q&A in the morning too.
Yes.
And I've got a YouTube.
In case you wonder why I'm trying to go to bed.
A YouTube question and answer thing. So Abigail Marks, Sunny hired. That's Chris's amazing cat. Cindy hired. That's my cat. She already works as a troubleshooting coach. She unplugs cloud servers, powers off cloud servers, chews through Ethernet cables, all the cool stuff that she does to assist my students. Oh boy. And Abigail's cat, Noni, beautiful cat as well. You know, you'll be seeing us very soon. We've already been in about 30 or 40 major publications. You're going to see us talking finance and economics in a major publication real soon too.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Have a great night, everybody. Cloud Hard. Thank you so much, Daniel. I'm proud of you.
No problem. No worries.
All right. 3, 2,